Chapter 50-43. Someone's looking for me. I'll go. Lin Feng looked at Fan Yuan and said. Fan Yuan's heart skipped a beat. Who could be looking for Lin Feng at this time? Could it be the Tower Master of the Moon Immortal Tower? After thinking about it carefully, this was indeed a possibility. The Tower Master basically lived in seclusion in the Moon Immortal Tower. Now that such a huge commotion had occurred, it was normal for the Tower Master to know about it. Therefore, the person looking for Lin Feng was most likely the Tower Master. All right, be careful. Fan Yuan reminded him. Private fights were not allowed in the Moon Immortal Tower. Lin Feng had a private fight with Zhou Yu and the others earlier, so Fan Yuan was worried that the Tower Master would harm Lin Feng. However, after thinking about it carefully, this worry seemed unnecessary. Lin Feng was so powerful. If the Tower Master wanted to make a move, she would have to consider many things. Now that she had invited Lin Feng over, she probably wanted to discuss something. Sometimes, the rules of this world were made for the weak. They were not made for the strong. Some rules were naturally not suitable for the strong. Lin Feng left. Fan Yuan waited in the private room for Lin Feng to return. Then we'll take our leave first, some of the geniuses said. Fan Yuan nodded and said, Take care, everyone. The others left one after another. The cultivators who were watching the commotion also left. Only Fan Yuan and Yuan Shuiqing were left. Sister Yuan, you should go back and rest too, Fan Yuan said. Yuan Shuiqing said, I'm not tired. You'll be lonely if you stay here alone. We can take this opportunity to have a good chat. Actually, Yuan Shuiqing did not mean what she said. Yuan Shuiqing did not stay because she wanted to chat with Fan Yuan. She also did not want to accompany Fan Yuan. Instead, she wanted to wait for Lin Feng to return so that she could get closer to Lin Feng. Yuan Shuiqing naturally would not tell Fan Yuan about this. At the very least, she would not tell her now. Lin Feng followed the other party's instructions and arrived outside a room. Then, Lin Feng knocked on the door. Come in. A voice could be heard. This voice sounded a little old. It was none other than the cultivator who had sent a voice transmission to Lin Feng earlier. Lin Feng opened the door and entered the room. He then closed the door behind him. Lin Feng discovered that there were actually 4 cultivators sitting here. The person in the middle was an old man wearing a Taoist robe. Was he a Taoist? It was not easy to tell because some cultivators liked to wear Taoist robes even though they were not Taoist priests. It was not because they wanted to pretend to be Taoist priests. The main reason was that Taoist robes were looser and more comfortable to wear. Lin Feng guessed that the old man in the Taoist robe should be the Moon Immortal Tower's Tower Master. In fact, the Moon Immortal Tower's Pavilion Master had already changed hands many times. The first Pavilion Master was said to be a woman. Many people said that the woman was a fairy who fell from the moon to the mortal world. This was the origin of the Moon Immortal Pavilion's name. Later on, the Moon Immortal Tower had changed hands many times. However, the name had been passed down. No one had casually changed the name of the Moon Immortal Tower. Perhaps it was a form of respect for the Moon Immortal Tower. Apart from the Moon Immortal Tower's Pavilion Master, the other 3 people were not simple people either. The cultivator on the left was a skinny old man. He was so thin that he was only skin and bones. His eye sockets were sunken, and it was unknown how long he had lived. He looked like an old ghost who had crawled out of hell and gave off a sinister and terrifying feeling. One of the 2 people sitting on the left was a middle-aged cultivator with a square face. He looked rather dignified. The other person was a middle-aged woman who looked to be in her 40s. From the looks of it, this middle-aged woman must have been quite beautiful when she was young. Even now, she was still very attractive. The cultivation levels of these 3 people were also unfathomable. Lin Feng could not help but feel slightly moved. He felt that these people were very likely to be experts with a strong foundation. This was because even though they were strong, there seemed to be an aura of old age in their bodies. This was a special characteristic of experts with a strong foundation. The aura of old age was actually a rather strange energy. This strange energy would cause a cultivator's lifespan to flow at an extremely fast speed. If they wanted to resolve this situation, they would have to defy the heavens and change their fate. However, this was not an easy task. Therefore, experts of this level often liked to search for powerful fortuitous opportunities everywhere. This was because they had to constantly break through their own shackles in order to successfully defy the heavens and change their fate. Young friend, you have such skills at such a young age. If I'm not wrong, you should be the sinner's blood emperor of the human race, Lin Feng, right? The old man in Taoist robes cupped his fists and said. Lin Feng was surprised. He hadn't thought the old man would be able to guess who he was. This old man was rather meticulous. He was actually able to deduce Lin Feng's identity from just a few clues. Lin Feng could naturally deny it. However, Lin Feng did not do so. Lin Feng said, That's right. I am the sinner's blood emperor, Lin Feng. Fellow Taoist, you were able to deduce my identity in such a short amount of time. When they heard Lin Feng admit his identity, their eyes lit up slightly. They had heard of the sinner's blood emperor countless times, but they had never seen him in person. Now, they had finally seen Lin Feng in person. Evidently, Lin Feng seemed to be even more outstanding than the rumors said. The old man in Taoist robes smiled and said, Fellow Taoist Lin, this old man is the current master of the Moon Immortal Tower. I call myself Taoist Qin Shan. This fellow Taoist on my right is a wandering cultivator from the outer seas. People call him Ancestor Withered Sea. The two on my left are Taoist Qian He, the master of the Sun Moon Immortal Island in the West Sea, and Taoist Lu Wuchen from the South Pole. Nice to meet you. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, Fellow Taoist Lin, you're too polite. We've known you for a long time, but we didn't expect to meet here. It seems like fate is involved in this. Fairy Qian He said with a smile. Fellow Taoist Lin, you're a young hero. You're like the rising sun. In the future you'll definitely become famous and sweep through the universe. It's indeed an honor to be able to meet you today. Ancestor Withered Sea smiled. Lu Wuchen smiled and said, Brother Withered Sea is right. It's truly an honor to be able to meet fellow Taoist Lin here. When he heard the three people's compliments, Lin Feng could not help but smile bitterly. These three people were too polite to him. Chapter 50-44. What Lin Feng didn't know was that his reputation was already at its peak. In addition, he had a special identity. Many people felt that Lin Feng might inherit his father's role and become the new son of the era, the son of destiny. If that was the case, then Lin Feng would definitely achieve great things in the future. At the end of the era, everyone was naturally worried about survival. If they could befriend Lin Feng, they might be able to rely on their friendship with Lin Feng to survive the Doomsday Battle and live to the next era. There were quite a few people who had such thoughts. However, they lacked an opportunity to befriend Lin Feng. Of course, befriending Lin Feng came with a certain risk because everyone knew that Lin Feng's enemy was Di Wudao, the Celestial Emperor. If they befriended Lin Feng now, they would be going against Di Wudao and the Celestial Emperor. Although Lin Feng had unlimited potential, he hadn't fully matured yet. Therefore, if Lin Feng died at the hands of Di Wudao and the Celestial Emperor, then the cultivators who befriended Lin Feng wouldn't have a good ending. Some people had more things to consider. Although they wanted to befriend Lin Feng, they didn't act because they had more things to consider. However, the four people in front of them were different. For example, Taoist Qin Shan. He was a cultivator from the Forgotten City, and the ancient demon desert was located in the ancient demon domain. This was a domain that the heavenly court couldn't control. Moreover, the ancient demon desert was extremely dangerous. Taoist Qin Shan naturally didn't have to worry about the Celestial Emperor sending an army to deal with him. As for people like Patriarch Ku Hai and Lu Wuchen, they were all itinerant cultivators, so they had nothing to fear. Although Fairy Qian He had her own faction, she was from an overseas faction. The Celestial Emperor's faction overseas wasn't very strong, so Fairy Qian He wasn't worried about the Heavenly Court's revenge. This was also why they dared to befriend Lin Feng. After everyone took their seats, Taoist Qing Shan poured a cup of spirit tea for Lin Feng. He then said, "Fellow Taoist Lin, this spirit tea was brought by Brother Lu from the South Pole. It's very difficult to drink this spirit tea outside. Fellow Taoist Lin, try it." Lin Feng took a sip and felt a lingering fragrance in his mouth. Next, a wave of spiritual energy spread out from his stomach. Then, it flowed towards his limbs and bones. This feeling. It was quite comfortable. "Good tea! It's really good tea!" Lin Feng couldn't help but praise. Lu Wuchen took out a sealed jar and smiled. "I'm glad you like it, Brother Lin. There are some tea leaves in here. You can drink them when you're free. They're good for recovering your spiritual energy and cleansing your body." Lin Feng didn't refuse, but put away the spirit tea. He then smiled and said, "Thank you for the spirit tea, Brother Lu." Lu Wuchen couldn't help but feel happy when he saw Lin Feng accept his spirit tea. He said, "Brother Lin, please don't be polite with me. It's just a mere spirit tea, it's nothing." Lin Feng naturally knew how precious the spirit tea was. However, he didn't say anything else. The reason he accepted the spirit tea wasn't because Lin Feng liked it that much. It was actually because, accepting the spirit tea, it could close the distance between the two sides. These four people. Their cultivations were powerful. They could be roped in. They could become allies of the Sin realm. This was for the Sin realm. Naturally, it was a joyous occasion. Most of the time, the method to get closer to the other party was very simple. For example, accepting some gifts from the other party. This way, the two sides could get closer. Lin Feng smiled and asked, "Fellow Taoists, you all seem to be in a good mood to meet here. I'm so envious. If you could have a few friends in your life who you could talk to and get together often, it would be a very exciting thing." Qin Shan said, "We've been friends for a long time, and we went through many things together. Later, we went into seclusion, and for a long time, we were in a state of isolation. Then, the world changed, and we came out of seclusion. After that, we often met up because of our friendship, and also because we gathered together. The more people we had, the stronger we were. We could explore dangerous places and find opportunities." Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He asked, "Is there something special about this gathering?" Patriarch Withered Sea continued, "To tell you the truth, we're really here to discuss the search for an opportunity. Would it be convenient for you to tell us about it?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "Of course. About 5 years ago, I found an ancient cultivator's cave in the outer sea world, and I obtained some keepsakes from the ancient cultivator's cave. After carefully studying them, I discovered that the keepsakes were actually related to sacred ancestor Samsara." "Sacred ancestor Samsara? Who's that?" Lin Feng asked curiously. Patriarch Kuhai explained. "Sacred ancestor Samsara was an extremely powerful person. He was a titled god during the era of titled gods. It's said that titled gods like sacred ancestor Samsara only had 5 generations of inheritances. As for which generation of sacred ancestor Samsara died, it's not clear. However, no matter which generation of sacred ancestor Samsara it was, he must have had an extraordinary inheritance. Furthermore, it's said that sacred ancestor Samsara had an ancient treasure called the Gate of Reincarnation. Opening the Gate of Reincarnation allows one to enter unknown worlds." "Enter unknown worlds? Is there such a thing? What kind of unknown worlds can one enter?" Lin Feng asked curiously. Patriarch Kuhai replied, "I'm not sure." Lin Feng rubbed his chin. He couldn't help but think of the reincarnation passage. The reincarnation passage wasn't as simple as a passage. It had probably formed its own unique world long ago. Feng Yaoguang had entered it before. When he had gone to the sky-devouring secret realm, he had tried to find a way to enter the reincarnation passage. However, he hadn't found anything. What if he found the Gate of Reincarnation? Would he be able to use the Gate of Reincarnation to enter the reincarnation passage? Lin Feng felt that it might be possible. "Have you found the sacred ancestor Samsara's resting place?" Lin Feng asked. He was very interested in the sacred ancestor Samsara's resting place. Lin Feng wanted to take the risk of entering the reincarnation passage. Lin Feng wanted to find Feng Yaoguang. Lin Feng missed Feng Yaoguang very much. He was also very worried about her safety. There are some clues, but we haven't found anything yet. This time, we gathered to discuss the matter of finding the sacred ancestor Samsara's resting place. Chapter 50-45. When they saw that Lin Feng was asking about sacred ancestor Samsara's death, they couldn't help but feel their hearts skip a beat. They felt that Lin Feng would be interested in the news of sacred ancestor Samsara's death. This made them quite happy. Perhaps they could bring Lin Feng along to explore sacred ancestor Samsara's death. When the time came, they would be able to strengthen their relationship with Lin Feng. Thus, Taoist Qingshan said, "Do you have time? If you do, we can explore sacred ancestor Samsara's death together." Lin Feng said, "Of course I have time. Thank you for your invitation, but I've been quite busy recently. There are still some things I need to deal with. I won't be able to find the time in a short period of time," Taoist Qingshan said. "That's not a problem. We still haven't found sacred ancestor Samsara's death, and even if we did find it, it would be an extremely dangerous place. It just so happens that the four of us are planning to continue our search in the ocean world. Once we find it, we'll send someone to Sin Realm to inform you. We've heard that you're proficient in formations, so we'll need your help to break through the restrictions," said Lin Feng. "Of course, it's a small matter. I'll wait for the good news in Sin City then," said Lin Feng. They chatted for a while, and Lin Feng found out that the four of them planned to leave the next day. Lin Feng also told them that he would send them off when they left the next day. Lin Feng then bid them farewell and left. In order not to cause any trouble, Lin Feng didn't ask them to send him off. When he arrived at the guest hall, he found that everyone except Fan Yuan and Yuan Shuiqing had already left. Lin Feng had expected this to happen. When they saw Lin Feng return, Fan Yuan and Yuan Shuiqing stood up. They could guess who had invited Lin Feng, and now that they saw that Lin Feng was fine, they relaxed. "Let's go," Lin Feng said. Fan Yuan and Yuan Shuiqing nodded. After leaving the Moon Goddess Pavilion, Yuan Shuiqing didn't leave. Instead, she followed Lin Feng and Fan Yuan back to the city lord's mansion. Fan Yuan asked, "Isn't Sister Yuan going home?" Fan Yuan was a straightforward person, so she would ask if she had any doubts. He wouldn't beat around the bush. Yuan Shuiqing indeed did not intend to return. She had made up her mind to interact more with Lin Feng. Naturally, she would not return just like that. On the other hand, Fan Yuan hoped that Yuan Shuiqing would return because she wanted to spend some time alone with Lin Feng. If there was a third will like Yuan Shuiqing by his side, he naturally wouldn't be able to be alone with Lin Feng. "Since I have nothing to do, I plan to go to the city lord's mansion today and have a chat with my little sister," Yuan Shuiqing said. Fan Yuan wailed in her heart. "You're still talking about what's in your heart? Didn't they chat for a long time? What else do you want to talk about?" Fan Yuan wanted to refuse, but Yuan Shuiqing was her best friend. Therefore, it wasn't good for him to directly reject Yuan Shuiqing, so he could only agree. On the way, Yuan Shuiqing would ask Lin Feng some questions from time to time. Moreover, this woman was very interesting. She kept moving closer to Lin Feng. As for the questions that Yuan Shuiqing asked, if he could answer them, Lin Feng tried his best to answer this woman's questions. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a little strange. He didn't know why Yuan Shuiqing kept looking for topics to chat with him. Of course, Lin Feng didn't think too much about this matter. His thoughts were focused on the place where Saint Ancestor Samsara had fallen that Taoist Qingshan and the others had mentioned. He didn't know if Taoist Qingshan and the others would be able to find that place smoothly. Lin Feng naturally hoped that they would be able to find that place. Lin Feng couldn't wait to find Feng Yaorao. However, this kind of thing couldn't be rushed. Lin Feng understood this principle. Food had to be eaten one bite at a time. And things had to be done step by step. One couldn't eat fatso in one bite. He couldn't do these important things in an instant. The next day, Lin Feng went to see the 4 experts off. The 4 experts were very happy that Lin Feng had come to see them off. After chatting for a while, the 4 experts left. Lin Feng didn't stay outside for long. He directly headed in the direction of the city lord's mansion. On the way, he heard many people talking about what had happened yesterday. The things that had happened in the Moon Immortal Tower naturally couldn't be hidden from the world. Moreover, Zhou Yu and the other Sky Prides had been beaten half to death. Zhang Zichen and the other Sky Prides had been forced to kneel on the ground and crawl out of the private room. How big was this news? It naturally became a topic of conversation. Everyone was very interested in this gossip. And everyone was also very interested in talking about Lin Feng. However, when walking on the street, only a few people knew Lin Feng. Occasionally, some people who knew Lin Feng would quickly shut up. They didn't dare to talk too much about Lin Feng, afraid that Lin Feng would hear them. Once they angered Lin Feng, they naturally wouldn't have a good ending. In the afternoon, Fan Yuan came to Lin Feng's place and brought a piece of good news. Little Rock King was about to come out. After hearing this news, Lin Feng couldn't help but be extremely excited. Fan Yuan asked Lin Feng to wait patiently for a while. Lin Feng nodded and continued to wait patiently. 2 hours later, Little Rock King was brought to Lin Feng's residence by Fan Yuan. When he saw Little Rock King, Lin Feng was extremely excited. When Little Rock King saw Lin Feng, he was stunned at first, then he couldn't help but become excited. Previously, no one had told him who was behind this matter. Therefore, it wasn't until he saw Lin Feng that he knew who was secretly helping him. Brother, you've suffered during this period of time. Lin Feng stepped forward and gave Little Rock King a big bear hug. Little Rock King said, "It's fine, this bit of suffering is nothing. You guys chat, I still have some things to take care of," Fan Yuan said. She was a smart person, so she might not really have anything to talk about. It was obvious that she wanted to give Lin Feng and Little Rock King some time alone. It had to be said. Fan Yuan was a smart woman, and she was very understanding. After Fan Yuan left, Lin Feng waved his hand. He sealed the room with a restriction. "This is not a place to stay for long. Let's leave tomorrow. I heard that you obtained a supreme treasure before. It wasn't snatched away by those people, right?" Lin Feng asked. Little Rock smiled bitterly and said, "The bastards of the 4 great immortal sects revealed the news of me obtaining the supreme treasure, so I knew that I couldn't keep it, so I handed it over." Lin Feng said, "This is a wise move. Who took it? We'll snatch it back before we leave." Chapter 50-46. Many powers had many great elders under them, so their authority was naturally different. However, there was only one great elder in the city lord's mansion. Lin Feng said, "There is only one great elder in the city lord's mansion. I saw that old thing before, and when we leave tomorrow, we will snatch that old thing's storage ring." "That's great," Little Rock King said. "How are Feng Yarao, Fire Qilin and the others now?" Lin Feng asked. "I'm not too sure about their situation. Previously, we did enter the heavenly illusionary realm together, but after entering the heavenly illusionary realm, we separated and didn't see each other again," Little Rock King said. "Do you still have a way to enter the heavenly illusionary realm?" Lin Feng asked. "There is a way to enter. I know where the entrance is. We can enter from there," Little Rock King said. Lin Feng nodded and said, "All right. Then after we leave the Forgotten City, we will go to the heavenly illusionary realm." Little Rock King naturally had no objections to this. Moreover, he knew that Lin Feng definitely wanted to see Feng Yarao, Fire Qilin and the others as soon as possible. Especially Feng Yarao. That was Lin Feng's confidant. It had been a long time since they last met. He must have missed her very much. Lin Feng arranged for Little Rock King to rest well. After Little Rock King went to his room to rest, Fan Yuan once again came to Lin Feng's place. "Tomorrow, Little Rock King and I will be leaving," Lin Feng said. Hearing this, Fan Yuan felt reluctant. But she knew that she couldn't stop all of this. Fan Yuan said somewhat bitterly. All right, I just don't know if we'll have the chance to meet again in the future. Lin Feng said. Of course, you can go to the Sin domain to find me. Others might not know Lin Feng's true identity, but Fan Yuan knew. Because Lin Feng had already confessed his true identity to Fan Yuan. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Fan Yuan was very happy. Lin Feng's meaning was that he wanted to continue his relationship with her. Fan Yuan could naturally understand the meaning of Lin Feng's words. There's one thing, can I ask, young master? Fan Yuan said. What is it? Lin Feng asked curiously. Fan Yuan said. Earlier, I saw you pat Fang Wushu's shoulder. I wonder if there's any deeper meaning behind that pat? Lin Feng was surprised. He never thought that Fan Yuan would actually suspect this. What a meticulous person. Lin Feng said. Didn't your father want to change Fang Wushu's fate? I don't know what will happen. After changing his fate, there's a high chance that he won't be able to rise again, but there's a small chance that he'll rise again. Therefore, I used a little trick and injected the strength of a curse into his body. That way, I can guarantee that even if he succeeds in changing his fate, he won't be able to rise again. At that time, he won't be a threat to you. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Fan Yuan's heart immediately flowed with warmth. She said, Thank you for everything you've done for me. What are you thanking me for? That's what I should do, said Lin Feng, blinking. Fan Yuan suddenly had a special feeling in her heart. Right now, she just wanted to hug the man in front of her. Before he left, she wanted to reveal her heart to him. After thinking up to this point, Fan Yuan reached out and hugged Lin Feng. Lin Feng was stunned for a moment before regaining his senses. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Fan Yuan. She was really a bold woman. She had always been very proactive. Do you know what you're doing? Lin Feng looked at Fan Yuan and asked. Of course I know. I want to turn a fake into a real one. Fan Yuan bit her red lips. She had such a charming and enchanting expression. She was truly a seductress who could charm people to death. That night, it rained outside. The storm never stopped. In the morning, when Lin Feng woke up, he looked at Fan Yuan, who was curled up in his arms like a lazy kitten. He couldn't help but gently stroke Fan Yuan's beautiful face. Fan Yuan's long eyelashes fluttered, and then she opened her sleepy eyes. Her beautiful face became rosy. However, she was a bold woman, so when she looked at Lin Feng, she did not avoid his gaze. Stay with me for a while longer, Fan Yuan said. Lin Feng nodded and hugged Fan Yuan in his arms. Fan Yuan's face was pressed tightly against Lin Feng's chest, and feeling the strong heartbeat, Fan Yuan's heart was filled with an unprecedented sense of tranquility and security. A woman, entrusting herself to the person she loved, was perhaps an extremely happy thing. The so-called singleness was just an excuse because she hadn't found the person who could make her heart pound. The original Fan Yuan belonged to the singleness, but now she understood the meaning behind it. After tidying up, Lin Feng and Fan Yuan walked out of the room. The Little Rock King was already sitting in the living room, waiting for them. The Little Rock King had obviously seen Fan Yuan before, and now he was somewhat moved by Lin Feng's ability to pick up girls. Even the unruly peerless beauty of the Forgotten City, the goddess in the hearts of countless people, had been taken down by him. This flirtatious personality had not changed even after so many years. The Little Rock King was born in a good family, and he was also handsome. If he wanted to be a wild and unruly chivalrous person, it would naturally be a rather easy thing to do. However, the Little Rock King did not do so, mainly because he did not have such thoughts. The Little Rock King's mind was basically focused on cultivation, but Lin Feng was different. Other than cultivation, he was also interested in many things, such as formations, alchemy. Due to his limited energy, Lin Feng had already given up on alchemy, and of course, there were also some other things that Lin Feng was more interested in, such as beautiful women. Being able to be with beautiful women was always a happy thing. This kind of thing naturally made people feel very comfortable. Do you still want to say goodbye to my father later? Fan Yuan asked. Of course. Lin Feng nodded. After all, Now Fang Junshan could be considered as Lin Feng's father-in-law, but Lin Feng felt that if Fang Junshan knew what he and Fang Yuan had done last night, he would definitely not be kind to him, and at that time, he would probably cut him into pieces. Thinking about this, Lin Feng could not help but bitterly smile. In fact, Lin Feng could understand this kind of thing. Chapter 50-47. Because, in this world, no father would be willing to see his daughter being eaten clean by a man before marriage. If he knew, he would most likely beat the man up and then threaten him. For example, this father might tell the man, "You better treat my daughter well in the future. If you dare to bully my daughter, I will beat you up until half of your body is paralyzed." Perhaps Fang Yuan's father was also such a person. Lin Feng did not let the little Peking show himself. He followed Fang Yuan to see Fang Junshan alone. Lin Feng followed Fang Yuan to Fang Junshan's residence. On the way, Lin Feng kept thinking about another thing, which was how to lure the Great Elder out so that he could snatch the Great Elder's things. However, this required strategy. Lin Feng did not plan to leave without snatching those things. Those were the treasures that the little Peking had painstakingly obtained. How could he let that old thing, the Great Elder, benefit from it? Lin Feng saw Fang Junshan in the study. Other than Fang Junshan, the patriarchs of the city lord's mansion, including the Great Elder, were also here. In addition, there was another person. Lin Feng did not know her identity, but he recognized her. She was the beautiful woman who had gone to deal with Lin Feng that night. When he saw the beautiful woman, Lin Feng was clearly startled. He really did not expect this beautiful woman to appear in this place. Fang Yuan bowed to Fang Junshan and the patriarchs, but she did not pay attention to the beautiful woman and the Great Elder. The beautiful woman and the Great Elder were already used to this kind of thing, so they did not have any special expressions. After the beautiful woman saw Lin Feng, she did not say anything, but a cold light flashed in the depths of her eyes. Lin Feng cupped his fists. Fang Yuan said, "Ji still has some things to do, so he has to leave the Forgotten City. He came here to bid farewell to father." Hearing this, Fang Junshan nodded and said, "Since little friend has things to take care of, I won't force you to stay. However, I hope little friend will remember that there is someone in the Forgotten City who is worthy of your protection." "I will remember you, honor. I won't forget her. When I'm done, I'll come and see her," said Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "All right, remember what you said. If you dare to let Yuan down in the future, don't blame me for being merciless. I won't spare your life even if I have to chase you to the ends of the earth," Fang Junshan said solemnly. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Fang Junshan's tone was so serious. Could it be that he knew something? Did Fang Junshan know that Fang Yuan spent the night at my place last night? This was the city lord's mansion, so it was normal for Fang Junshan to know what happened here. It would be abnormal if Fang Junshan didn't know anything. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. The current Fang Junshan probably even had the heart to hammer him to death, right? But luckily he controlled himself. Lin Feng thought that Fang Junshan was very nice to Fang Yuan. As a father, he always protected Fang Yuan. If Fang Junshan hadn't protected Fang Yuan wouldn't have had such a strong background. Otherwise, she would have died many times already. Perhaps it was because of the saying, "Love me, love my dog." But Lin Feng felt that Fang Junshan, his father-in-law, was a good person. Lin Feng said, "Uncle, what you're worried about won't happen." "That's for the best," said Fang Junshan. Fang Junshan nodded. Then, Lin Feng and Fang Yuan left. An ancestor said, "Brother Wenchong, how's the investigation of our son-in-law's identity going?" The Forgotten City was extremely powerful, and it had a powerful network in the outside world. Brother Wenchong, the old ancestor, said, "We've just received the news. If we tell you his identity, you might be shocked." "Oh? Who is he?" It was still the patriarch who had spoken first, and he asked impatiently. "The Emperor Sin's blood, Lin Feng," said the ancestor called Brother Wenchong. Hearing this, the rest of the people were shocked. The beautiful woman and the great elder's eyes lit up. They could see dense killing intent in each other's eyes. If they could kill the Emperor of Sin's blood, the fortune they would obtain would be unimaginable. The ancestor called Brother Winchong said, "The city lord is as calm as an ancient well. It seems that he already knows this son-in-law's identity." Fan Junshan said, "Actually, I had some guesses before, but I wasn't sure. Now that I've heard Ancestor Winchong's words, I can confirm his identity, so I'm not too surprised." At that moment, Lin Feng and Fan Yuan were walking towards Lin Feng's residence. "Who's that woman in the room?" Lin Feng asked calmly. "She's Fan Wushu's mother, and she's my father's second wife. She's a complete bitch, a venomous woman," Fan Yuan said hatefully. Lin Feng hadn't expected that woman to be Fan Wushu's mother. She was mature and charming, and she had a mature beauty that women didn't have. "You're saying that she's your father's second wife? Then who was your father's first wife?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "It's her older sister. It's said that she's 70 to 80% similar to her older sister. Back then, when her older sister was pregnant, she suddenly died. 2 lives in one body. It was truly a tragedy. Later on, she married my father and became his wife," Fan Yuan said. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Fan Yuan's words seemed to imply something. "Are you suspecting something?" Lin Feng asked. "The servants who took care of the first madam also suddenly died," Fan Yuan said. "It seems that this matter explains a lot," Lin Feng said. He knew that Fan Yuan actually wanted to say that all these things were caused by that beautiful woman. Even the tragic death of her sister, who was about to give birth, was also secretly caused by that beautiful woman. However, such words naturally could only be understood and not spoken. "Then you have to be careful of her," Lin Feng reminded her. "I will." Fan Yuan nodded. Thinking about how the beautiful woman had even killed her own older sister in order to climb up the social ladder, Lin Feng was actually quite worried about Fan Yuan. Lin Feng was such a person. When he had a relationship with a woman, he would treat her well. Men were more universal in love, but that didn't mean that they were indifferent. Some men would forget their old love after having a new love, but Lin Feng wasn't such a person. Lin Feng thought of the true dragon crouching heavens diagram he had obtained before. It was a top-grade treasure, and it was extremely powerful. He could still use it twice. Chapter 50-48. After hearing Lin Feng's words, Fan Yuan was very touched, because it meant that Lin Feng was thinking about her. It meant that Lin Feng didn't just want her body. She had a place in Lin Feng's heart. Thinking about that, Fan Yuan was overjoyed. When a person fell in love with another person, they naturally hoped that the person they loved would also like them. When they knew that the other person felt the same way, they would feel satisfied and happy. However, Fan Yuan didn't intend to accept the treasure because she felt that Lin Feng would encounter even more dangers outside. Many of those dangers could take his life. Lin Feng needed a powerful treasure to protect himself. Naturally, the more treasures he had, the better. Fan Yuan said, "Don't worry about me, I'm fine. Keep the treasure for yourself. That way, I'll be at ease." Lin Feng gently scratched Fan Yuan's nose and said, "Little fool, as long as you're safe, I'll be at ease. Besides, I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve. Maybe I'm much stronger than you think. So, take this treasure." Hearing Lin Feng's words, which were full of love, Fan Yuan was touched and overjoyed. She hugged Lin Feng and gave him a kiss. Public morals are degenerating with each passing day. Some people from the city lord's mansion couldn't help but murmur when they saw this, especially the older generation. They quickly left. Fan Yuan accompanied Lin Feng and the little Pun King out of the Forgotten City. Then, they flew out of the Forgotten City. Little Pun King asked, "Are we not going to deal with the Great Elder?" Little Pun King actually felt a little regretful. After all, the Empyrean mirror he had obtained before was a saint item. When the time came, the Empyrean mirror had fused with the Empyrean mirror and could turn into an ancient weapon. Naturally, he would not be willing to let such a treasure be taken away. However, robbing the great elder of the forgotten city would be quite difficult. Lin Feng replied. Don't worry, no one can take away a treasure that belongs to you. That old bastard will definitely come after us. As he said this, he couldn't help but think of that beautiful woman. That beautiful woman was called Lan Cayenne. Their names were quite nice, but they were not good people. Lin Feng hoped that Lan Cayenne would chase after them at that time. Then, he could catch them all in one fell swoop. In this way, Fan Yuan would have one less big problem. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Little Peng became very excited and said, That's great! Lin Feng and the Little Rock King were not fast because they were waiting for the Great Elder to arrive. There were 3 reasons why Lin Feng had determined that the Great Elder had come. The first one. He was now Fan Yuan's man, and Fan Yuan was their enemy. Getting rid of him would be a huge blow to Fan Yuan. The second one. He had destroyed Fang Wushu's physical body, which would make these people hate him very much. Lan Cayenne's attack on him was a good example. The third one. So much time had passed, Lin Feng had the feeling that maybe the people of the Forgotten City already knew who he really was, but they hadn't said anything yet. Many people wanted to kill him for 2 reasons. First, they could go to Di Wudao and the Heaven Emperor to exchange for a large amount of rewards. Second, they could obtain his things. Everyone knew that he had many powerful abilities, magic treasures, and even heaven-defying luck. Therefore, there were naturally many experts eyeing him, wanting to kill him. Combining these reasons, Lin Feng felt that the Great Elder would definitely make a move. When the Great Elder made a move, he would probably join forces with other experts. However, Lin Feng did not know who the Great Elder would join forces with. Regardless, Lin Feng was not afraid, unless the other party was a golden immortal. However, if a golden immortal wanted to deal with him, he would not need to join forces with the Great Elder. He could do it himself. The next night, when Lin Feng and the Little Rock King were resting in the desert, they were attacked by poisonous insects. A large number of poisonous insects, including shrews, centipedes, poisonous snakes, and other things, took advantage of the fact that Lin Feng and the Little Rock King were sleeping and quietly crawled to their side. Then, those poisonous insects bit towards their bodies. Lin Feng and the Little Rock King were both more cautious, so when they were resting, they also left behind their spiritual sense to observe the situation outside. The moment they were attacked, they woke up and soared into the sky, dodging the poisonous insects' attacks. Hee hee hee! What a vigilant brat! Your flesh and blood are delicious. You're making me drool. You can all become a feast for me. At this moment, a sinister and terrifying voice was heard. Lin Feng looked over and immediately saw a cultivator wearing a black robe. His entire body was shrouded in a black fog, making it impossible to see what he looked like. However, this existence was definitely an extremely terrifying cultivator. Furthermore, he was an expert of the Devil Dao. Is it just you? If that's the case, then this place will become your graveyard, Lin Feng said indifferently. Hearing Lin Feng's words, the demonic expert's expression became extremely unsightly. He was a proud person, and now that Lin Feng's words were full of contempt for him, he was naturally extremely angry. Brat, you're still as arrogant as before. You're about to die, yet you still dare to be so arrogant. It's quite rare to see someone like you. At this moment, another voice was heard. This was the Great Elder's voice, and Lin Feng still remembered it clearly. The next moment, an old man walked out of the void. It was none other than the Great Elder. Another one has come to die. Where's that beauty Lan Cayenne? Lin Feng said. The Great Elder was slightly stunned, but then he sneered and said, You're really not a good person. Lin Feng said. What's wrong with me? You're the one who's thinking too much. It seems like there's still someone hiding in the dark. I've already discovered you, you can come out now. Brat, you're quite capable. You can even discover me. At this moment, a third cultivator stepped out of the void. Chapter 50-49. The demonic cultivator was called Thousand Poisons Venerable. His cultivation was unfathomable. However, his most powerful technique was not his cultivation, but his ability to control all kinds of poisonous insects. Previously, when Lin Feng and the Little Rock King were attacked by those poisonous insects, it was Thousand Poisons Venerable who secretly took action. Fortunately, Lin Feng and the Little Rock King had always been cautious and vigilant. However, it was clear that not everyone was as cautious as them. Perhaps many people didn't even know what was going on when they were attacked by poisonous insects. It was said that this technique was a powerful ability that Thousand Poisons Venerable possessed since he was born. It was said that this ability came from his bloodline, but no one knew what kind of special bloodline he had. As for the other cultivator who looked righteous, he was called Wu Xieling. This person only looked righteous on the surface, but in reality, he was a famous expert of the evil path. Many people felt their hair stand on end when they heard his name, because this person's reputation wasn't very good. Moreover, he cultivated an extremely evil yam harvesting technique. It was said that this yam harvesting technique killed both men and women. This kind of yam harvesting technique was extremely rare. Generally speaking, this yam harvesting technique was only used to target men or women. But this kind of technique that killed both men and women was unheard of. Of course, this was an incomparably mysterious world, so no matter what happened, it seemed to be understandable and acceptable, including the technique that killed both men and women. These two people also had another identity, and that was that they were sworn brothers with the Great Elder. Moreover, these years, they had been worshippers in the city. Fan Wushu's mother's side was very powerful, not only because there were many strong cultivators on her side, but also because their connections were extraordinary. For example, Thousand Poisons Venerable and Wu Xieling belonged to the Great Elder's network. If the three of you hadn't offended me, you could have lived quite freely, but now that you've offended me, you're destined to die miserably. Soon, I'll let you know how miserable the consequences of offending me are. Lin Feng looked indifferently at the three strong cultivators. Ha ha! Kid, are you messing with us? The first elder suddenly laughed and looked at Lin Feng with disdain. He admitted that Lin Feng's methods were indeed extraordinary, but with the three of them working together, how could they not deal with Lin Feng? As for the Little Rock King, he was ignored by the Great Elder. The Little Rock King's cultivation was indeed extraordinary, but after all, his foundation was still shallow and could not participate in a battle of their level. Therefore, the basic situation now was that the three of them were besieging Lin Feng alone. This was also the reason why the Great Elder was so confident. I've heard that you're incomparably arrogant. Now that I've met you, I know that you're not just arrogant. You're simply an idiot. Do you think that you're invincible just because you have some ability? You can't even distinguish the situation in front of you. I really don't know how your brain grew up. Perhaps it's because you inherited a powerful destiny from your father, and it was your father who protected you and allowed you to cultivate to your current level. However, your good luck is about to run out today. Wu Xieling also looked at Lin Feng coldly. His eyes were filled with disdain. Hee, I can't wait to kill this brat and see what's in his storage ring. I'm really looking forward to it. Just thinking about it makes my heart beat faster. My heart is pounding, said the Thousand Poisons Venerable Master sinisterly. The three strong cultivators were convinced that they could defeat Lin Feng. They sounded as if they were in control of everything. The Little Rock King glanced at Lin Feng and saw that Lin Feng was still as calm as ever. The Little Rock King's worry disappeared. He understood Lin Feng too well. When he saw Lin Feng's expression, he knew that Lin Feng had a way to deal with the three strong cultivators. Even though it sounded unbelievable, but the Little Rock King was very confident in Lin Feng. In the Martial Heaven continent, Lin Feng had created countless miracles. It had been over 100 years since the great changes. During these years, Lin Feng had definitely advanced by leaps and bounds. Furthermore, he definitely had many trump cards. Perhaps Lin Feng would use those trump cards now. Let's do it. A long delay may cause trouble, said the Great Elder. All right, let's kill these two brats. The Thousand Poisons Monk and Wu Xieling nodded. They didn't want to wait any longer. They wanted to kill Lin Feng and the Little Rock King right now. A terrifying aura spread out of the three of them. The three of them were extremely powerful, and they had been working together for a long time. Now that the three of them joined hands, they could unleash unimaginable power. Lin Feng knew that it would be difficult to deal with the three of them. Even if he used all his trump cards, it would still be a fierce battle. Perhaps he and the Little Rock King would really die to their attacks. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't plan on fighting them. Lin Feng planned on using the 3 insect swarms to deal with the 3 experts. When the 3 experts started preparing their attacks, Lin Feng waved his hand. The 3 insect swarms immediately flew out. The primitive demon refining insects, the celestial devouring insects, and the flying crimson demonic insects. The 3 swarms of insects seemed to be endless. The swarm of insects blotted out the sky and covered the earth. In a flash, the 3 experts were surrounded. Their expressions changed drastically. They were caught unprepared. They had no choice but to take out powerful defensive treasures to block the insect swarms. The first elder took out an ancient bronze statue. The bronze statue floated above him and emitted rays of cyan light. The cyan light protected the first elder's body. The 1,000 Poisons monk took out a treasured cauldron. The cauldron emitted godly light to protect his body. A suit of armor appeared on the surface of Wu Xiaolin's body, protecting his body. Apart from his eyes, the armor around his mouth was not sealed. He needed to see and breathe. Chapter 50-50. Lin Feng's face was quite gloomy. The constant casualties of the 3 insect swarms made Lin Feng's heart ache. It was not easy to cultivate these insect swarms, not to mention that it was even more difficult to cultivate them to such a powerful level. However, when there was a battle, there were bound to be casualties. This was an immutable truth. Lin Feng naturally understood this truth. Although the 3 insect swarms were constantly dying, their attack power was also extremely tyrannical. The light shield protecting the 3 experts was becoming thinner and thinner. The defensive light shield was about to be eaten by the 3 insect swarms. If the 3 insect swarms could completely break the defensive light shield, then they would be able to erupt with incredible power. This point, naturally, it made people look forward to it. The 3 experts knew what kind of danger they were facing. If the 3 insect swarms were not large enough, they could eliminate them in a short time, and then besiege Lin Feng and Little Rock King. However, the 3 insect swarms were too large, making them feel like they could not kill them all. Therefore, they knew that they had to find a way to deal with the 3 insect swarms. Otherwise, the situation would be very bad. Brother 1,000 Poisons! Quickly take out the insect swarms you cultivated, the great elder said. 1,000 Poisons Venerable nodded with a gloomy face. He had also cultivated 2 insect swarms, which were extremely extraordinary. 1,000 Poisons Venerable took out the insect swarms he had cultivated. Suddenly, the insect swarms cultivated by 1,000 Poisons Venerable and Lin Feng fought fiercely. However, the insect swarms cultivated by 1,000 Poisons Venerable could not be compared to the 3 insect swarms. They were rapidly being eliminated by Lin Feng's 3 insect swarms. Although Lin Feng's 3 insect swarms were no match for the previous desert god-killing insects, it did not mean that they were not powerful enough. In fact, all 3 swarms of Lin Feng's were extremely rare spiritual insects, with terrifying fighting strength. Back then, the 3 insect swarms were defeated by the desert god-killing insects. Firstly, the disparity in numbers was too great. Secondly, the desert god-killing insects were too powerful. In the history of this epoch, the desert god-killing insects were ranked among the top insect swarms. Under the attack of the desert god-killing insects, the 3 insect swarms were able to resist for such a long time and even kill many of them. From this, it could be seen how powerful the 3 insect swarms were. It was extremely difficult to obtain such a powerful insect swarm. It required both opportunity and luck. 1,000 Poisons Venerable's insect swarms were almost completely defeated by Lin Feng's 3 insect swarms. 1,000 Poisons Venerable's plan of using the insect swarms to counterattack was completely foiled. The hearts of the three powerhouses could not help but suddenly sink because they knew that this was going to be troublesome. Lin Feng's insect swarms were too terrifying. Now, the three experts were regretting their actions. If they had known that Lin Feng was so terrifying, they would not have come looking for trouble with Lin Feng even if they were beaten to death. However, what was done could not be undone. Everything had already happened. Now was not the time to regret. Moreover, was there any use in regretting now? They might as well think of a way to salvage the situation. The first elder said, "Young friend Lin, I think there's some misunderstanding between us." When he heard the first elder's words, Lin Feng rolled his eyes speechlessly. As the saying goes, shameless people are invincible. Lin Feng was speechless that the first elder could say such shameless words. Lin Feng sneered. "What? You want to beg for mercy? Sure, I'll give you a chance. If you give up resisting now, I might spare your lives." The first elder and the others' faces were extremely gloomy. They naturally did not believe Lin Feng's words. If they gave up resisting, they would be dead in the next moment. The first elder said, "Young friend Lin, how about we each take a step back? I'm sure young friend Lin doesn't want to see us end up in a situation where both sides suffer, right?" "Both sides suffer? How can that be? I think the three of you will die here," said Lin Feng, smiling icily. It had already come to this. This guy still dared to threaten him. How shameless! How could Lin Feng be afraid of this old thing? "If we fight with our lives on the line, there's a high chance that we can drag the three of you down with us," the first elder said in a deep voice. Lin Feng said, "Then let's see if you can drag the two of us down with you." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng gave the insect swarm an order. The insect swarm's attacks became fiercer and stronger. Facing the insect swarm's attacks, it was getting harder and harder for the three of them to defend themselves. The three of them had fierce looks in their eyes. It seemed that they were already thinking of using their lives on the line. Lin Feng was not surprised that experts at this level had extremely powerful life-risking techniques. If they did not have such powerful life-risking techniques, Lin Feng would find it strange. Therefore, Lin Feng did not want to sit and wait for death. He decided to take the initiative to attack. Lin Feng told the little Peking to wait for him in the distance. Lin Feng held the epic war spear in his hand and rushed towards the three of them. At this moment, the three of them had already been separated by the insect swarm. They were fighting separately and could no longer stay together. Therefore, their situation was actually quite bad. Lin Feng locked onto the first elder. Among the three of them, the first elder was the one that Lin Feng feared the most. That old bastard definitely had some terrifying tricks up his sleeve, but he didn't want to use them until the last moment. Lin Feng had to kill him before that old bastard used any of his tricks. Lin Feng used the space Dao and hid his body in the void. The first elder was now using all his strength to defend against the insect swarm's attacks. Therefore, he did not notice Lin Feng, who was gradually approaching him. When Lin Feng arrived behind the first elder, Lin Feng jumped out with the epic war spear in his hand. Then, Lin Feng stabbed the first elder's body with the epic war spear. The terrifying spear contained destructive power and instantly stabbed the first elder's defensive light shield. At this moment, the first elder realized that Lin Feng was hiding behind him. By the time the first elder reacted, Lin Feng's war spear had already pierced through the light shield protecting the first elder's body. Then, the terrifying spear instantly pierced the first elder's chest. Chapter 50-51. Lin Feng's right hand that was holding the war spear suddenly shook, and a powerful force immediately shook out. A bang sounded out. Suddenly, the great elder's body directly collapsed, leaving behind only his source energy and storage ring. Lin Feng put away the great elder's source energy and storage ring. The situation here naturally couldn't be hidden from Thousand Poison Monk and Wu Xialing. Although the two of them couldn't see the specific situation because their vision was blocked, their divine senses sensed the situation here. When their divine senses sensed all of this, their faces became incomparably ugly. Even the strongest Great Elder had been killed by Lin Feng. Now it seemed that the two of them couldn't escape this calamity. It was naturally not easy for the two of them to cultivate to their current level, so they naturally didn't want to die. Therefore, the two of them begged one after another. "Don't kill us. As long as you don't kill us, we are willing to do anything for you. As long as you spare us, we are willing to do anything for you." The two of them did have some hidden methods that could be used at a critical moment, but the current situation was extremely bad for them. Although they could try those methods, the Great Elder had been killed by Lin Feng. Without the Great Elder's cooperation, they had no confidence in their hearts. The strong naturally attached great importance to their dignity. However, when their lives were in danger, the strong would also succumb to reality. In the face of dignity and death, there were too few people who could choose dignity. There was only hope when one was alive. Dead, everything was for naught. Compared to living, what was dignity? It was nothing at all. Therefore, Thousand Poison Monk and Wu Xielin chose to live. They couldn't care about their dignity. Moreover, in their opinion, begging for mercy from the sinner's blood emperor, or even submitting to him, didn't seem to be unacceptable. After hearing the two of them beg for mercy, Lin Feng couldn't help but slightly raise his eyebrows. The two of them had powerful cultivations, so he could indeed spare their lives. They would be a good help in the future. When the battle with the Heavenly Court came in the future, perhaps he could use them. Thinking of this, Lin Feng said, "Good! I can give you a chance to live. Now, swear an oath of loyalty to me." Hearing Lin Feng make them swear an oath, the two of them couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. This meant that Lin Feng would no longer pursue their responsibilities, and they could finally continue to live. However, when he thought about becoming someone else's subordinate from now on and listening to someone else's orders, he couldn't help but feel a little bitter. Perhaps he wouldn't be able to live freely in the future, but being able to keep his life was actually quite a good result. "I'm the Thousand Poisons Monk. I'm Wu Xielin. I am willing to make an oath here. From now on, those who are willing to pledge their loyalty to the young master will be absolutely loyal to the young master. If they dare to betray the young master, they will immediately die a horrible death." After the Thousand Poisons' venerable master and Wu Xielin made the oath in an instant. Thus, the two parties formed a contract. From then on, the two of them became Lin Feng's slaves. They would definitely be loyal to Lin Feng. They would never dare to betray Lin Feng. You don't have to go back to the Forgotten City. You can stay in the ancient demon realm and a few other domains and try to control some small sections. Then, you can gradually nibble away at the other sects and secretly recruit troops to strengthen yourself. When I need you, I will send someone to inform you," Lin Feng said. Right now, Lin Feng had already begun to prepare for the great battle with the Heavenly Court in the future. This matter could not be delayed. Before the Foundation powerhouses appeared, the Heavenly Courts had more than 20 perfected immortal powerhouses. As the Foundation powerhouses appeared one after another, the Heavenly Court would definitely have more true immortal rankers. As a result, right now, he had to plan ahead. Otherwise, when the great battle arrived, the Sin Realm would probably be razed to the ground by the Heavenly Court. This was naturally not the result that Lin Feng wanted to see. "Yes. We will definitely follow young master's orders and continue to strengthen our forces," Thousand Poisons Monk and Wu Xielin said in unison. "Good. You can leave now," Lin Feng said. The two of them bowed to Lin Feng and quickly left. Lin Feng, on the other hand, kept the 3 insect swarms. Then, he met up with the Little Rock King. He gave the Thousand Poisons Monk's source and storage ring to the Little Rock King. Then, he said, "Find some time to refine these sources. It will be beneficial to your cultivation." The Little Rock King did not refuse and kept the items. He had a close relationship with Lin Feng, so he naturally did not need to be polite to Lin Feng. That would be more polite. Then, the Little Rock King sensed the storage ring. With a slight movement of his spiritual will, a mirror flew out. The mirror was a stone mirror and looked rather special. It should be the legendary Empyrean mirror. The mirror was extraordinary and emitted intense fluctuations. The little rock king refined the Empyrean mirror again. Keep the rest of the things. You will need them when you cultivate in the future, Lin Feng said. The little rock king nodded and kept the storage ring. The two of them did not stay any longer and quickly left. They left the ancient demon desert and arrived at the ancient demon realm's Thousand Demon City. This was an ancient city controlled by the demon race. Lin Feng first came to the Thousand Demon City because he wanted to find a way to cure Ling Zixi poison. Ling Zixi was poisoned by the fire poison immortal devouring insect. Even the demon lord didn't know how to cure this poison. Fortunately, Ling Zixi's 8 extraordinary meridians were temporarily sealed. In addition, the white jade toad was helping Ling Zixi suppress the poison in her body, so Ling Zixi's poison did not flare up. However, Lin Feng also needed to hurry up and think of a way to cure the poison in Ling Zixi's body. After the poison in his body was cured, then he would consider the matter of the heavenly illusionary realm. After arriving at the Thousand Demon City, the two of them first found a residence. The little rock king went to refine the source that he had obtained earlier, while Lin Feng went to find a way to cure the poison. Within the Thousand Demon City, there was an all-knowing pavilion. Lin Feng went to the all-knowing pavilion. An elder with the surname Ma received Lin Feng. This person was called Ma Yong, and he looked to be in his 40s. After the two of them sat down, Ma Yong smiled and asked, "May I know what information the young master wants from our all-knowing pavilion?" Lin Feng asked. "Elder, have you heard of the fire poison immortal devouring insect?" Hearing this, Ma Yong was slightly startled. He nodded and said, "I have indeed heard of this poisonous insect. It's an extremely terrifying poisonous insect, but it's almost impossible to see it nowadays." Ma Yong recognized this poisonous insect. Chapter 50-52. Lin Feng placed his hopes on the all-knowing pavilion. After all, the all-knowing pavilion had a wide range of information. If the all-knowing pavilion did not know about this, then it would be very bad. It would be very difficult to find out. Of course, he still needed to hear what Ma Yong had to say. At this time, Ma Yong said, "The all-knowing pavilion does not know how to cure the poison of the fire poison immortal devouring insect." Hearing this, Lin Feng could not help but feel a little disappointed. It seemed that he would have to find another way. However, at this time, Ma Yong continued. "But—" When he heard Ma Yong's "but," Lin Feng's eyes could not help but light up slightly. This "but" was a turning point. Ma Yong continued. "I know of a person who has researched a detoxification method, but I'm not particularly sure if it can cure the poison of the fire poison immortal devouring insect. I'll have to trouble Elder to introduce me to this person," Lin Feng said. Ma Yong said, "Of course, but this person's temperament is a little strange. I don't know if he will agree to help. When the time comes, it will depend on how you discuss this matter with him." Lin Feng nodded and said, "No problem." They did not waste any time, and Ma Yong personally brought Lin Feng to see the strange cultivator. On the way, Lin Feng did some research on the cultivator. The cultivator was known as the medicine demon. It was said that he was a cultivator who researched all kinds of medicine until he went crazy. This was the origin of the term, medicine demon. Nowadays, almost no one knew the real name of the medicine demon, and no one knew what kind of power he used to be. Everyone only knew that the medicine demon had been in Fiend City for many years and had been researching all kinds of medicine. Lin Feng followed Ma Yong to the place where the medicine demon lived. The medicine demon lived in a courtyard in the northwest corner. After Lin Feng and Ma Yong entered the courtyard, they saw a large number of bottles and jars, as well as some broken medicine cauldrons. In the corner of the courtyard was a medicinal garden, but there were only a few living spirit herbs in the garden. As for the few stalks of spiritual herbs that were still alive, their heads drooped, and they looked listless. Bang! As soon as Lin Feng and Ma Yong entered the courtyard, a loud sound came from the room inside. It was as if something had exploded. If the entire courtyard was not protected by restrictions, it would have been destroyed long ago. Next, a cultivator walked out from the room while swearing. The cultivator who walked out from the room had a thin figure. He was not particularly tall, around 1.65 meters in height. He appeared to be in his 50s and his hair was disheveled. His clothes were in tatters and he cut quite the wretched sight. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself when he saw the cultivator's expression. Cauldron explosion was a professional term among alchemists. It meant that the failure of refining pills caused the pills inside to explode for some special reason. When the pills exploded, it formed a powerful impact. The cauldron used to refine the pills could not withstand this terrifying impact and finally exploded. Isn't this nephew Ma? You came at the right time. I just developed a special potion a few days ago. Why don't you try it and see how it works? The medicine demon smiled when he saw Ma Yong. He really looked like an old ghost that had crawled out from hell. Ma Yong shuddered. He ran out of the courtyard and said, I don't want to be a lab rat anymore. Ma Yong began to pray for Lin Feng. Trash. You're so scared. You can't be taught. The medicine demon cursed when he saw Ma Yong running away. He kicked a broken medicine cauldron on the ground. The medicine cauldron slammed into the wall and made a loud noise. The medicine demon squinted at Lin Feng and said with a smile, Little friend, let me introduce myself. I'm called the Medicine Immortal. It's a title given to me by my friends. I'm a low-key person and would never show off my alchemy skills in front of others, but I can't do anything about it. Recently, I've been researching a new potion that can open up the body's 8 extraordinary meridians. Why don't you try it and see how it works? Lin Feng was speechless. He couldn't even tell how effective his own potion was. No wonder Ma Yong ran away. It seemed that Ma Yong had been a lab rat for the medicine demon before, and he was one of those unlucky lab rats. Why don't you take it yourself? Maybe the effect will be better, Lin Feng said. He didn't want to be the medicine demon's lab rat. The medicine demon felt awkward when he heard Lin Feng. It was impossible for him to take the potion himself. After all, he didn't want to be a lab rat. Little friend, this is a great opportunity for you to make a meteoric rise and change your fate. The potions created by this medicine immortal are priceless outside. Even if you're as rich as a country, you won't be able to buy the potions created by this medicine immortal. Now, there's a great opportunity in front of you. You should cherish it. If you miss this opportunity, you won't have it again. The medicine demon continued to speak earnestly. He needed to trick Lin Feng into taking the potion he was researching. Lin Feng already knew that the medicine demon was an extremely unreliable person, so he didn't believe him. Not only was this guy unreliable, but he was also a big liar. He was called the medicine demon. However, he called himself the medicine immortal. The difference between a demon and an immortal was huge. Could he be any more shameless? If he was shameless, he wouldn't call himself the medicine immortal, right? Was he trying to blow his own trumpet? Let's talk about that later. Actually, I came here because I wanted to talk to you about something else, Your Excellency, said Lin Feng. What is it? The medicine demon asked. I heard that you've researched a way to neutralize the fire poison immortal devouring bug. I wonder if you've successfully developed an antidote? Lin Feng asked. Was someone poisoned? The medicine demon asked. Yes, it was a friend of mine, Lin Feng said. The medicine demon grinned. What an evil smile. Lin Feng's heart trembled. The medicine demon stretched out his right hand. In his right hand was a porcelain bottle filled with medicinal liquid. Chapter 50-53. The thing inside the bottle must be what the medicine demon was talking about, right? Lin Feng was speechless. Medicine demon, this guy, was determined to make him his lab rat. You know the rules, the medicine demon said. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. For Lin Zishi, he would be the lab rat for once. Lin Feng took the bottle, opened it, and sniffed. He immediately felt an extremely pungent smell irritating his body. Lin Feng was speechless. The smell was extremely unpleasant. What kind of elixir is this made of? Why does it smell so bad? Lin Feng asked. The medicine demon said, This is good stuff. I added hundreds of precious things, such as the venom of the three-headed king cobra, the venom of the 72-armed spider king, and… Then, the medicine demon said a lot of things. The things that the medicine demon said were either extremely terrifying poisons, poisonous insects, or poisonous plants. Lin Feng rolled his eyes. This potion was actually made of a lot of poisonous things. Would there be any problems after drinking it? Lin Feng was really worried about his little life. He had the feeling that if he drank it, he would really die. You don't look too good. Are you worried about this potion? You really don't have to worry. This potion is good stuff. Although it's made of poisonous things, it's a great tonic. Not only is it good for cultivation, but as a man, you should know what a great tonic means. The medicine demon said with a smile. Lin Feng said, Won't it kill me if so many poisons are mixed together? Have you forgotten what I'm called? I'm called the medicine immortal. This immortal can naturally neutralize all the side effects of demons. Poison is also a demon, but in this immortal's eyes, it's nothing. All the poisons have been combined, the medicine demon said. Then, he continued, Don't wait any longer. Take it now. You'll be very grateful to me later. Lin Feng was helpless. He didn't believe a single word the medicine demon said. However, in order to find a way to neutralize the poison in Leng Zixi body, Lin Feng had to agree even if he didn't want to. Lin Feng drank the potion in one gulp. After drinking it, he felt a burning sensation in his stomach. However, the burning sensation quickly disappeared. After the burning sensation disappeared, Lin Feng felt warm. Other than that, he didn't feel anything else. Fortunately, he wasn't poisoned. This was a good result. How do you feel? Asked Medicine Demon excitedly. He couldn't wait to hear Lin Feng's answer. Said Lin Feng. I don't feel anything special. Everything is normal. That's not right, it shouldn't be like this. The medicine demon immediately became extremely distressed. Clearly, the effects of the potion were different from what he had imagined. Something must have gone wrong. Where did it go wrong? The medicine demon turned around and wanted to run back to his room to study it. However, how could Lin Feng let the medicine demon go? He grabbed the medicine demon. Why are you grabbing me? The medicine demon said unhappily. Lin Feng said, You promised to tell me how to neutralize the fire poison immortal's devouring bug. I don't know. How can I tell you? F***CK. If you don't know, then why did you make me drink the potion? Do you think I'm easy to fool? Do you believe that I won't tear down this place of yours and beat you until half your body is paralyzed? Lin Feng said fiercely. Medicine Fiend said, Brat, you dare to show off in front of me? I've roamed the world for so many years, and I've tricked countless people, but I'm still living a carefree life. Why don't you think about why? Why else? It was mainly because of the medicine demon's strength. Lin Feng could feel the medicine demon's tyrannical battle strength without needing him to say anything. However, since you just drank the potion, I won't argue with you this time. You can leave now, the medicine demon said. Bang! As soon as the medicine demon finished speaking, a fist as big as a sandbag smashed into the medicine demon's detestable face. The medicine demon let out a miserable cry. Then, he fell to the ground. The next moment, he jumped up like a carp and shouted fiercely, I really didn't expect you to have some tricks up your sleeve. But so what? In front of me, you're still far from enough. The medicine demon pounced at Lin Feng and punched at Lin Feng. Lin Feng punched back. The two sides collided, and the medicine demon was sent flying by Lin Feng like a kite with a broken string. Then, his body smashed the door to pieces. The medicine demon fell to the ground in an incomparably sorry state. He sat up and shouted, I'm not fighting anymore, I'm not fighting anymore. I didn't expect to meet such a perverted brat today. Lin Feng did not plan to continue teaching the medicine demon a lesson. He continued to ask, Is there really no way to neutralize the fire poison immortal's poison? The medicine demon said. How could there not be? Everything has its own counter, so naturally, there is a way to neutralize this poison. Lin Feng was speechless and said, You just said there isn't one. The medicine demon said, Nonsense, I just said that I haven't developed a way to neutralize this poison. This old man was really lying through his teeth. Previously, this guy had said that he didn't know how to neutralize the poison. Lin Feng did not argue with the medicine demon about this. He asked, How can I neutralize this poison? I haven't developed the antidote, but I know that as long as I find 3 heavenly treasures, I can neutralize the fire poison immortal's poison. The medicine demon said, What are the heavenly treasures? Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he asked. The medicine demon said, The first heavenly treasure is called snow dragon grass, the second heavenly treasure is called crescent moon grass, and the third heavenly treasure is called pure clean water. If you find these 3 things, you can mix the snow dragon grass and crescent moon grass into the pure clean water and give it to the poisoned person to drink. The poisoned person will be able to neutralize the poison, and then the poisoned person will be able to come back to life. Hearing this, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Chapter 50-54. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown when he heard Medicine Demon's words. If what Medicine Demon said was true, then finding the 3 things he needed would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. You didn't find any clues? Lin Feng asked. Medicine Demon shrugged. Lin Feng smiled bitterly, but he couldn't give up. He would go to the all-knowing pavilion and the other major trading companies to inquire about the whereabouts of the 3 treasures. He hoped to find them quickly. Thank you. I'll take my leave now. Lin Feng cupped his fists. He didn't stay any longer and quickly left. After leaving Medicine Demon's place, Lin Feng returned to the all-knowing pavilion. When Ma Yong saw that Lin Feng was safe and sound, he was surprised. He asked, Are you all right? I'm fine, Lin Feng said. Then you must not have drunk the medicine demon gave you, Ma Yong said confidently. If Lin Feng had drunk the medicine, he wouldn't be able to come back any time soon. Lin Feng said, I drank the medicine, and it tasted pretty good. Did you have any adverse reactions? Ma Yong asked. Nope, Lin Feng said. Ma Yong even felt like crying. Back then, he had drunk the medicine several times, and every time, he had to lie in bed for 10 days to half a month to recover. However, Lin Feng was completely fine. Why was the medicine he had drunk so bad? But Lin Feng's medicine didn't affect him at all. It really made Ma Yong want to cry. Lin Feng said, I want to find the whereabouts of 3 things. Can the all-knowing pavilion keep an eye out for them? If you can find them, I'll thank the elders. Ma Yong knew that Lin Feng wasn't an ordinary person, so he had always been polite to Lin Feng. He said, Please tell me, young master, the 3 things I'm looking for are snow dragon grass, crescent moon grass, and pure clean water. Lin Feng said. Ma Yong replied, Those 3 things are indeed quite rare, and I've only heard of them but have never seen them before. However, don't worry, sir, the 100 Days Pavilion will do everything in our power to help sir find those 3 things. That's good. Lin Feng nodded. Then, he left the 100 Days Pavilion. Then, Lin Feng went to some of the big trading companies in the Demon City. Lin Feng inquired about the whereabouts of these 3 treasures, but he didn't find any clues. Before leaving, Lin Feng told the higher-ups of the big trading companies that as long as they could find these 3 treasures, he would be willing to pay 10 times the price to buy them. Hearing this, the upper echelons of the various trading companies couldn't help but reveal a pleasantly surprised expression. If that was the case, in that case, they could indeed try to search for the 3 treasures. After all, the price Lin Feng offered was a little too high. There was a saying that 3 times the price was enough to move one's heart. 5 times the price was enough to drive people crazy. 8 times the price was enough to make people go all out. 10 times the price. That was even more tempting to go all out to complete this task. Lin Feng then returned to his residence. The Little Rock King was still in seclusion. When the Little Rock King came out, he could talk to him about this matter. Perhaps he could get the Little Rock King to send the news back to the ancestral land of the Demon Clan. The ancestral land of the Demon Clan had been passed down for countless years. Perhaps they knew some information or even had such a treasure? If that was the case, then it would be too exciting. After waiting for 5 days, the Little Rock King came out of seclusion. During this seclusion, the Little Rock King had completely recovered his former vigor, and his cultivation had also greatly improved. It seemed that the Little Rock King had obtained quite a lot of benefits. Lin Feng smiled and said, "It seems that the results of this seclusion are quite good." The Little Rock King was very satisfied with this seclusion. He couldn't help but nod and say, "Yes. The results of this seclusion are quite good. It's all thanks to the Great Elder's source that my cultivation was able to improve." Lin Feng nodded and said, "By the way, there's something I need your help with." The Little Rock King asked. "What is it?" Lin Feng said. "I've already found a way to cure the poison, but the 3 natural treasures required to cure the poison are too difficult to find. I've already asked the All-Knowing Pavilion and the various large businesses to help me find them, but I'm not sure if they'll be able to find them. The ancestral land of the Demon Clan has been passed down for a long time, so there must be a lot of treasures there. Write a letter and ask if the ancestral land of the Demon Clan has these 3 natural treasures. If they don't, ask the people of the ancestral land of the Demon Clan to help look for them. They've been here for many years, so they must have extremely powerful connections." "No problem. I'll write a letter right now," the Little Rock King said. He wrote a letter. This letter was for a high-ranking member of the Demon Clan's ancestral land. The Little Rock King probably had a very good relationship with this high-ranking member. The content of the letter was to ask this high-ranking member to help find the 3 natural treasures. After writing the letter, the Little Rock King showed it to Lin Feng. Lin Feng felt that there was no problem. The Little Rock King said, "There's an office in the Demon Clan's ancestral land in the Demon Clan's city. I'll send the letter over now and have them deliver it to the Demon Clan's ancestral land." "All right." Lin Feng nodded, then left the room with the Little Rock King. Lin Feng and the Little Rock King planned to head straight to the Heavenly Illusionary Land after delivering the letter to the office. The person in charge of the office was a female cultivator with an enchanting figure. She obviously knew the Little Rock King. She smiled and said, "I heard that the Little Rock King was being hunted down by the cultivators of the 4 major immortal sects. I thought it was true and worried for a long time. Now that I see that you're fine, I realize that the rumors were just rumors spread by bored people. Thank you for your concern, Fairy." The Little Rock King cupped his fists. The female cultivator then looked at Lin Feng, then smiled and said, "Young master, are you a friend of the Little Rock King? You don't look familiar. You don't seem to be from the ancient demon realm, right?" "I'm Lin Feng." Lin Feng cupped his fists and said. Sometimes, Lin Feng would tell others that his name was G. This was because Lin Feng did not want to attract too much attention. Lin Feng's relationship with the demon race was somewhat special, so there was no need to hide his true identity. The female cultivator was obviously very surprised, and her pink lips could not help but open slightly. This name was really well known. Of course, there seemed to be many people called Lin Feng. Many people changed their names after the Sinner's Blood Emperor, Lin Feng, rose to power. No one knew what the purpose was. However, the female cultivator did not think that the human cultivator in front of her was an imposter. This was because she knew that Lin Feng and the Little Rock King both came from the 9 states' great world and seemed to have a good relationship. Now, the person with the Little Rock King was also called Lin Feng, and he was a young human cultivator. Chapter 50-55. So it's Lin Gongzi. I've long heard of your great name, Lin Gongzi. I didn't expect to see Lin Gongzi here. My name is Yu Dai Lin. May I ask if I have the opportunity to be friends with you? The female devil said with a charming smile. She extended her right hand, as if she wanted to shake Lin Feng's hand. In the world of cultivators, most male cultivators would greet each other with cupped fists. Most of the female cultivators bowed slightly in greeting. Of course, there were some who would greet each other with a handshake, but this was rare. There were also some who would greet each other with their noses touching each other's faces, but this was even rarer. There were all kinds of greetings. This had something to do with one's race or personal habits. Lin Feng didn't know how the female devil greeted him, but when he saw her extend her hand, Lin Feng also extended his hand and shook her lily-white hand. It was a pair of small and slender hands, but they felt a little cold to the touch. When they shook hands, the female devil stretched out her finger and scratched Lin Feng's palm. When Lin Feng looked at her, she winked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. If a person was too outstanding, no matter where they went, there would be people fawning over them. Goddesses in other people's eyes would often let go of their modesty in front of them. However, Lin Feng wasn't someone who would accept anyone. At the very least, he needed to feel his heart race. "I'm very happy to meet you, fairy," Lin Feng said, and then let go of the female devil's hand. It was unknown if the little Pink King had noticed the female devil's actions. Even if he did, he would pretend that he didn't know anything. The little Pink King said, "Fairy, I'm here to ask for your help in delivering a letter to the ancestral land of the devils." After saying that, the little Pink King took out a letter and handed it to the female devil. The female cultivator replied, "This is a small matter. I'll arrange for someone to send the letter back soon." The little Pink King said, "Thank you, fairy. We'll take our leave now." "Are we leaving now? Why don't you stay a little longer?" the female monster cultivator asked. "Little Lin Feng and I still have some things to take care of, so we won't be staying here for long. Since that's the case, I won't keep you. If you have time in the future, you must come and visit me." When the monster race female cultivator said these words, she looked at Lin Feng. Obviously, these words were meant for Lin Feng. "Definitely." Lin Feng clasped his fists and left with the little Rock King. After Lin Feng and the little Pink King left, the female cultivator couldn't help but mutter to herself, "That famous emperor of the Sin clan is more interesting than I thought." Lin Feng and the little Pink King left. She couldn't help but smile, but nobody knew what she was thinking. Lin Feng and the little Pink King flew out of the city. The little Pink King said, "That Yudalin isn't easy to deal with. You'd better not have any ideas about her." Lin Feng rolled his eyes and said, "Look at what you're saying. You make it sound like I have to get my hands on every beautiful woman I meet." The little Pink King smiled wryly. "I know you're not that kind of person, but that Yudalin is very charming, and she's trying to seduce you. I'm just worried that you won't be able to resist her seduction and will fall for her." Lin Feng said, "I'm not interested in her, but you said she's not easy to deal with. What do you mean by that?" The little Pink King said, "I heard that Yudalin cultivates the yang plucking technique. She specializes in absorbing other people's yang qi to increase her cultivation. So, it's best not to have any contact with her. I also heard that she's been sent to the Fiend City to take charge of the Fiend Ancestral Land's office there. The higher-ups of the Fiend Ancestral Land don't want to see her fooling around in the Fiend Ancestral Land, so they sent her out." When Lin Feng heard him, he nodded. He didn't pay too much attention to this matter. After all, Lin Feng didn't want anything to happen with this woman. The two of them met. At most, they were just acquaintances. There was nothing more to it. They didn't stop along the way and headed straight for the Heavenly Void Forest. The Heavenly Void Forest was located in the central region of the ancient Fiend realm. It was said that there was more than one way to enter the Heavenly Void Forest. The cultivators from the top forces also entered the Heavenly Void Fantasy Land from different places. In addition to the passageways controlled by the major forces, there were also some other passageways. Most of those passageways were formed after cracks appeared in the small worlds. Once such places were discovered by the major forces, they would often find ways to block such passageways. The reason why the major forces did this was that they did not want the cultivators of other forces to enter the Heavenly Illusory Land. They wanted to monopolize the Heavenly Void Fantasy Land. Therefore, Once they discovered the passageways formed by these cracks, the various major forces would seal those passageways in the shortest amount of time possible. However, because the heavenly illusionary land had existed for too long, there would be an endless stream of cracks appearing. Some rogue cultivators or cultivators from other forces would look for these cracks. As long as they searched with their hearts, they would definitely find some clues. They were unable to enter openly, but they were able to enter through the cracks. During the training period, the major forces wouldn't take the initiative to open the passage. Therefore, the cultivators from the major forces who entered the heavenly void fantasy land couldn't return from the original passage. If they wanted to come out, they could only find some small world cracks and come out from those cracks. Previously, Little Rock King was besieged by a large group of experts from the 4 major immortal sects. After getting rid of the experts from the 4 major immortal sects, Little Rock King found such a crack and flew out from it. However, the experts from the 4 major immortal sects followed closely behind. Little Rock King had been unable to shake them off. Originally, Little Rock King planned to rely on the ancient demon desert to get rid of the experts from the 4 major immortal sects. However, not long after they entered the ancient demon desert, they encountered the Great Elder and the others from the Forgotten City. In the end, they were captured by the Great Elder and the others. Chapter 50-56. Lin Feng carefully observed the location of the entrance. The crack at the entrance was not that big. It was only about 1 meter wide and about 3 meters long. From time to time, powerful space-time energy would be emitted from it. The space-time energy was extremely powerful. If ordinary cultivators were to be sucked into it, they would probably die without a burial ground. Only a few powerful cultivators would be able to enter that place without worry. Lin Feng and Little Rock King were naturally not afraid. They flew towards the entrance. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two of them were very fast. In the blink of an eye, they had rushed in. Light flashed in front of their eyes. When Lin Feng and Little Rock King appeared again, they had already arrived at the heavenly illusory realm. There was a special kind of energy fluctuation in the heavenly illusory realm. That kind of energy fluctuation was mixed with the power of the void, so one had to be careful when dealing with the power of the void. If one were to be attacked by the power of the void, it would be an extremely bad thing. On the way here, Lin Feng had already learned a lot about the situation of the heavenly illusory realm from Little Rock King. Other than various situations, Lin Feng also knew what kind of people had entered the heavenly illusory realm from the demon clan's ancestral land. For example, the Fire Qilin, Little Moon, Princess Shui Yao, Feng Yao Rao, and the others had all come to the heavenly illusory realm. These people were all Lin Feng's old friends from the Sky Martial continent. Needless to say, Feng Yao Rao was Lin Feng's confidant and one of Lin Feng's favorite women. After arriving at the heavenly illusory realm, Lin Feng and Little Rock King planned to inquire about Feng Yao Rao and the others. When they first entered the heavenly illusory realm, Little Rock King and the others were teleported to different places by the laws of the heavenly illusory realm. Therefore, during the time in the heavenly illusory realm, Little Rock King had not been able to meet Feng Yao Rao and the others. When they passed by a mountain range, densely packed arrows shot towards Lin Feng and Little Rock King. Those arrows were very powerful, but they were not difficult for Lin Feng and Little Rock King. Lin Feng waved his hand and a defensive light barrier appeared. It was the Vajra barrier of the Buddhist inheritance, shaped like a golden bell. When those arrows were shot, they all hit the Vajra shield's surface. The arrows were all deflected by the Vajra shield. The Little Rock King wasn't as strong as Lin Feng, but he couldn't be underestimated either. The Little Rock King raised his hand and golden wings appeared on his back. The wings of the great rock flapped gently in the air. In an instant, a raging wind swept across the world. The wind created by the Vajra wings turned into a strong wind barrier. The astral wind light shield was impenetrable. When the arrows hit it, they were unable to break through the astral wind light shield's defense. One arrow after another fell down from the sky. TSK, you have some skills. As expected of the golden-winged great rock race. At that moment, a strange laughter came from the mountain forest. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, next. A high number of cultivators flew out. In total, there were over 100 cultivators there. The one who spoke was a cultivator in cyan robes. He was wearing the clothes of the Immortal Heaven sect. He was obviously from the Immortal Heaven sect. As for the other cultivators, they were wearing the clothes of the 4 great immortal sects. They were from the 4 great immortal sects. These guys were really like ghosts that wouldn't go away. Who are you? Little Rock King looked gloomily at the leader. He did not know this person. In reality, Little Rock King had been in the undying world for a while. However, Little Rock King rarely went out and spent most of his time in seclusion. Therefore, he was not very familiar with the geniuses of the undying world. Little Rock King wasn't even familiar with the geniuses of the 4 major immortal sects. Perhaps Little Rock King had heard the names of some top geniuses, but he probably didn't know what they looked like. Therefore, he couldn't recognize them when they met. If the other party introduced themselves, Little Rock King might know who they were. You don't even know King Feather? At that moment, a cultivator from the Immortal War sect looked at Little Rock King mockingly. What? You're King Feather? Hearing this, the Little Rock King's expression suddenly changed. When Lin Feng saw the change in Little Rock King's expression, he knew that King Feather was an extremely terrifying existence. However, Lin Feng did not know how terrifying he was. Lin Feng asked, Is King Feather very strong? Little Rock King smiled bitterly and nodded. He said, King Feather has been cultivating for more than 50,000 years. When the top geniuses of the undying world were ranked, he was ranked 11th. He almost made it into the top 10. You can imagine how strong he is. Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Now, the reputation of the Undying Realm's 8 great young masters could be said to be known by everyone. Every few years, there would be a new ranking. Geniuses who could make it into the new ranking were definitely extremely terrifying. In the past, King Feather had participated in one of the rankings. He had almost made it into the top 10. It was obvious how strong and talented he was. That time, 10 top geniuses appeared. They were called the 10 heroes of the undying world. Little Rock King continued. Lin Feng nodded. He had naturally heard of the 10 heroes of the undying world. Lin Feng had met Prince Xian Yu of the 9 Serenities Demon Palace before. He was one of the 10 heroes of the undying world. Other than Prince Xian Yu, Prince Shui Yu of the 9 Serenities Demon Palace was one of the 8 great princes of the undying world. 2 geniuses in a sect, it was shocking. Yu Huaxian was in existence that could compete with Prince Xian Yu. He's really someone, Lin Feng said. Little Rock King smiled bitterly. He's not just someone. Nobody knows how strong he is. Besides, he has the Celestial King body, an extremely tyrannical type of body. Celestials are lofty, while Celestial Kings look down on the world. The Celestial King body is a type of body that can suppress the world. Only his enemies know how strong his body is, and his enemies are basically all dead now. Now that Little Rock King was frowning, it was no wonder that Little Rock King was so worried. First, King Feather was too strong. Second, there were so many experts by King Feather. On their side, there was only Lin Feng and him. The difference in numbers was too great. Chapter 50-57. The little Peng Emperor glanced at Lin Feng and saw that Lin Feng was still calm. He couldn't help but feel a little more relaxed. Maybe Lin Feng had a way to solve the crisis? The little Peng Emperor trusted Lin Feng unconditionally. However, the Feather Immortal King was too strong, so the little Peng Emperor didn't have much confidence. Just now, they had shot out so many magic arrows, and the powerful magic power fluctuations had attracted many people over. The cultivators who came over all stood in the distance and looked in that direction. That's the little Peng Emperor from the ancestral land of the beasts. I heard that he obtained a Tianxu mirror and was chased by the strong cultivators of the 4 major immortal sects. It seems like the little Peng Emperor managed to get rid of the strong cultivators of the four major immortal sects. However, the little Peng Emperor's luck is too bad. He managed to get rid of the strong cultivators of the four major immortal sects, but now, he met the Feather Immortal King. The Feather Immortal King is indeed strong, and the cultivators around him aren't weak either. They're all strong cultivators from the four major immortal sects. The little Peng Emperor won't be able to escape this time. Who's the human cultivator with the little Peng Emperor? That guy is too unlucky. Maybe he'll be killed by King Yuxian and the others along with little Peng King. I don't know him. He doesn't seem to be from the ancient monster realm. Maybe he's the little Peng Emperor's friend. It seems like you have to make the right friends. Otherwise, you'll die miserably. Just like the human cultivator, he made friends with the little Peng Emperor, but in the end, he was implicated and killed. Many cultivators started discussing. They didn't think highly of Lin Feng and the little Peng Emperor. They all thought that Lin Feng and the little Peng Emperor would die at the hands of the Feather Immortal King and the others. It was no wonder that they thought that way, because the Feather Immortal King and the others were too strong. Anyone who encountered such a situation would feel helpless. Then, they would have a feeling of wanting to cry but no tears would come out, or they would have the urge to curse. Feather Immortal King, let me deal with that guy. A cultivator with wings and 3 eyes said coldly. That cultivator. He was a 2-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan cultivator. The dual-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan was originally a branch of the Yao clan, but this clan had long since betrayed the Yao clan. When the Heavenly Emperor supported the 4 major immortal sects, the 2-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan had already chosen to rely on the Heavenly Emperor. It was said that the higher-ups of the dual-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan believed that the Yao cultivators of the ancient Yao region were incapable of fighting against the Heavenly Court led by the Heavenly Emperor. Additionally, the Heavenly Emperor had promised them many benefits. Thus, the higher-ups of the dual-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan were unable to resist the temptation, and chose to join the Heavenly Emperor. It wasn't just the dual-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan. Even some other Yao cultivators chose to join the Heavenly Emperor. However, the majority of the demon clan forces still chose to continue resisting and protecting the land left behind by their ancestors. Thus, over the long years, the 7 demon clans' ancestral lands gradually formed. The 7 demon clans' ancestral lands were now very powerful. It would not be easy for the Heavenly Emperor to destroy them. It's Mo Qianqiu of the 2-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan. His cultivation base is quite terrifying. It is said that he has cultivated to the quasi-true immortal realm. Additionally, his bloodline is very powerful. Ordinary people are no match for him. There are not many cultivators in the younger generation who can suppress him. After seeing the 2-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan's cultivator step out, a cultivator immediately spoke up. Clearly, the other party had recognized the 2-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan's cultivator. The 2-winged 3-eyed demon wolf clan's cultivator was a very difficult character to deal with. The Little Rock King was born in the 9 continents world. The 9 continents world is the starting point of all the worlds. It's different from the rest. All the cultivators who come from the 9 continents world have unimaginably powerful talents, and the Little Rock King is the same. Although he's only 200 years old, it's said that he's already at the Earth Immortal or Celestial Immortal realm. Although Mo Qianqiu is a terrifying figure, the Little Rock King's cultivation level isn't too far away from him. Therefore, it won't be easy for him to defeat the Little Rock King. If Little Rock King wins the battle, Little Rock King will win the battle. After hearing this cultivator's words, many people fell into deep thought. The cultivators of the 9 provinces' great world were indeed extraordinary. Their talents were heaven-defying and they could often challenge those of a higher realm. Therefore, it would not be surprising if Little Rock King could defeat Mo Qianqiu. On the other hand, Mo Qianqiu has cultivated for more than 100,000 years. In terms of talent, there might be a gap between him and the Little Rock King, but Mo Qianqiu's talent is not bad. On the contrary, he is very powerful. Moreover, there is something about Mo Qianqiu that the Little Rock King can't compare to. That is, Mo Qianqiu's accumulation is very strong. After all, he did not cultivate for so many years for nothing. It is not surprising that Emochiencho can win against the Little Rock King who has an unstable foundation. Therefore, if they really fight, I am more optimistic about Emochiencho's chances. People were different from each other, and their way of thinking was obviously different as well. Therefore, everyone naturally had different viewpoints. As for Lin Feng, he was directly ignored by everyone. This was because everyone realized that Lin Feng's cultivation level was not particularly high. A battle between Emochiencho and Little Rock King was not something that a cultivator like Lin Feng could participate in. Hee Emochiencho, you traitor of the demon clan! Since you want to die, I can fulfill your wish. Little Rock King looked coldly at Emochiencho. He was fearless in front of Emochiencho. Emochiencho sneered and said, "Take out the Empyrean mirror you obtained earlier. If you don't use it, I can kill you in less than 10 moves. What a boastful fellow. Why would I need to use the Empyrean mirror to deal with you?" Little Rock King sneered and stepped forward. Swoosh! With a flash of light, a war spear appeared in Little Rock King's hand. Chapter 50-58. Little Rock King's state of being one with his spear was extremely powerful. He seemed to have transformed into a demon god. With a thrust of his spear, the heavens and earth changed color. Lin Feng stood at the side and watched the show. He believed that Little Rock King could handle this battle. Lin Feng's opponent was King Feather, who was standing in the distance. This person had indeed brought pressure to Lin Feng. However, the more pressure there was, the more excited Lin Feng felt. He felt as if his blood was about to burn. That feeling made him extremely excited. Lin Feng was looking forward to the battle with King Feather. Only by fighting with a top expert could one stimulate one's potential. And in Lin Feng's eyes, King Feather was a top expert who could stimulate his potential. But obviously, King Feather did not pay attention to Lin Feng. Lin Feng was not worthy of his attention. In his eyes, Lin Feng was very ordinary, very ordinary. Little Rock King had aroused his interest, but it was only a little interest. If Little Rock King had not obtained the legendary Empyrean mirror, King Feather would not even bother with Little Rock King. His opponents were a few top skyprides of the demon race. Divine Demon // Emochiencho rushed over quickly. A powerful treasure had appeared in his hand. The treasure in his hand was a demonic saber. The power of the demonic saber was extremely terrifying. It contained the intent of not leaving any ghosts or gods behind. When the demonic saber slashed over, Little Rock King unleashed a spear mystique. Spear piercing the heavens. Clang. Accompanied by the sound of the collision, Lin Feng's battle spear collided with the demonic saber in his opponent's hand. The power was extremely tyrannical. The powerful energy fluctuations that dissipated even cracked the surrounding void. The battle strength of these two people was quite terrifying. Spear piercing the 9 heavens. Little Rock King snorted coldly and shot out another spear. The power of the second spear was much stronger than the first spear. After the second spear attack was launched, a dense number of spear shadows suddenly formed, forming a cold light amidst the endless spear shadows. That was the cold light condensed by the war spear. When that cold light was launched, that cold light seemed to be able to penetrate the heaven and earth. 9 Heaven Spear Technique. This spear technique had completely displayed the artistic conception of the spear technique. Emochiencho's expression darkened slightly. Previously, he had looked down on Little Rock King. But after exchanging blows with him, he realized how powerful Little Rock King was. However, Emochiencho was equally powerful. Emochiencho gripped the devil's saber with both hands and executed the saber light net. A dense net of sabers appeared in front of him. The might of the saber net was quite tyrannical. When Little Rock King's peerless spear pierced over, it was immediately blocked by the saber net. Demonic Saber Ninefold Carnage. Suddenly, Emochiencho snorted coldly and his wrist shook violently. In an instant, the devil's saber shook violently. 9 layers of saber light slashed out. Each layer of saber light was stronger than the previous one. The 9 layers of saber light rapidly slashed towards Little Rock King. The speed of the 9 layers of saber light was simply too fast. Not only was it fast, but it was also very sudden. Therefore, when the 9 layers of saber light slashed towards Little Rock King immediately fell into a dangerous situation. Let's see how you'll die. Mo Qianqiu looked at the Little Rock King indifferently. In his eyes, the Little Rock King was no different from a dead man. His cold eyes were filled with self-satisfaction. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Mo Qianqiu was indeed quite tyrannical. Little Rock King was in trouble now. However, Lin Feng didn't help Little Rock King. He felt that Little Rock King should have a way to deal with this. Moreover, Little Rock King also needed a life and death battle to sharpen his cultivation. Naturally, Lin Feng could help Little Rock King now. However, this would be extremely detrimental to Little Rock King's growth. Lin Feng was very clear about this point. Therefore, he didn't immediately help Little Rock King. At this moment, the rock wings behind Little Rock King appeared once again. The rock wings flapped rapidly like flying swords, sweeping towards Mo Qianqiu's 9 layers of saber light. Clang! 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 A series of violent collisions rang out. Little Rock King's rock wings clashed with Mo Qianqiu's saber light. Mo Qianqiu's saber light was neutralized by Little Rock King's wings. Little Rock King's wings should be one of Little Rock King's racial talents. It was similar to the Dragon's Breath attack that the Dragon Clan mastered. This was an ability passed down through the generations. It was extremely tyrannical and terrifying. It definitely couldn't be underestimated. After blocking Mo Qianqiu's 9 layers of saber light, Little Rock King's wings swept towards Mo Qianqiu. It was like a dense mass of flying swords piercing towards Mo Qianqiu. Such power definitely couldn't be underestimated. Mo Qianqiu's expression changed slightly. He didn't dare to be careless. He quickly waved the devil saber in his hand to block the pair of wings. Clang! 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 The devil saber in his hand clashed with Little Rock King's wings. Instantly, a series of violent collisions rang out. Little Rock King's wings were very special. Although they looked illusory, they could unleash the power of divine weapons. The Golden Winged Rock clan was extremely ancient. The trump card passed down through the generations was naturally extremely terrifying. While Mo Qianqiu was blocking Little Rock King's wing attack, Little Rock King wielded his war spear and stabbed towards Mo Qianqiu. This was the terrifying part of Little Rock King. When his wings attacked, his war spear could also attack his opponent. Roar! Roar! At this moment, 2 more heads popped out from Mo Qianqiu's neck. Those 2 heads were actually wolf heads. The 2 heads let out a series of furious roars. Following that, the 2 heads each spat out 2 blood-red energy balls. The 2 blood-red energy balls rapidly flew towards Little Rock King. The aura contained within the 2 balls of blood-red energy was extremely terrifying. If that attack landed on Little Pun King's body, it was conceivable that Little Pun King would be severely injured. The outcome of this battle would also be reversed in an instant. Just as the 2 blood-red energy balls were about to land on Little Rock King's body, a golden light beam shot out from each of his eyes. The 2 golden light beams were extremely powerful. The 2 golden light beams collided with the blood-red energy balls from Mo Qianqiu's wolf heads and both were annihilated. Little Rock King's war spear continued to stab towards Mo Qianqiu. Chapter 50-59. Mo Qianqiu lost. Little Pun King is really powerful, even Mo Qianqiu isn't his match. Looks like Mo Qianqiu is going to be killed by Little Pun King. No, Feather Immortal King will definitely save Mo Qianqiu. Many cultivators started discussing again when they saw that Mo Qianqiu was about to be killed by Little Pun King's spear. Little Pun King's battle prowess had indeed shocked many cultivators. Those who didn't think highly of Little Pun King before couldn't help but admire his battle prowess and talent. Cultivators from the 9 continents' great world were indeed different. Fighting against cultivators of a higher level at a lower level, and the cultivators who were challenged were all top geniuses, yet they were still able to win in the end. Such means were truly extraordinary. Previously, people didn't understand the meaning of the phrase different from the cultivators from the 9 continents' great world. Now that they saw Little Pun King's battle prowess, they finally understood the meaning of the phrase. However, so what if Little Pun King won this battle? The truly terrifying figure wasn't Mo Qiancho, but Feather Immortal King. Little Pun King could defeat Mo Qiancho, but he definitely couldn't defeat Feather Immortal King. Immortal King, save me! Mo Qiancho screamed in fear. Mo Qiancho didn't expect that he would be defeated by Little Pun King. Now that he was defeated, Mo Qiancho couldn't accept it. Mo Qiancho was very angry. He felt that he had been humiliated. However, he had no choice but to ask Feather Immortal King for help. If he didn't ask Feather Immortal King for help, he would be killed. Impudent! Feather Immortal King looked coldly at Little Pun King. Then, he attacked Little Pun King with his palm. In the void, a huge energy palm condensed. That energy palm contained an unimaginably terrifying power. When the energy palm appeared, even the void was locked down. Little Pun King was also sealed. The cultivators who were watching from afar felt that they couldn't move their bodies. Their faces were filled with fear. Feather Immortal King was actually this strong? A casual attack could create a sense of oppression that would make one feel despair. It was hard to imagine how strong Feather Immortal King was now. Little Pun King is dead! Some cultivators cried out in fear. Little Pun King was already very strong. But obviously, in the eyes of those cultivators, although Little Rock King's strength was outstanding, there was still a huge gap between him and Feather Immortal King. In front of King Feather, Little Rock King was too weak. In this battle, Little Rock King was destined to end his life in a tragic manner. Just when everyone thought that Little Rock King was dead for sure, everyone saw. The human cultivator who was with Little Rock King suddenly waved his sleeve. Then, the attack that King Feather Fairy had congealed shattered instantly. Oh my God, what am I seeing? Who is that person? He easily neutralized King Feather's attack. What exactly is his cultivation base? How can he be so strong? Isn't this too heaven-defying? After all, he's only a little over 100 years old, yet he's already so strong. Could he really be able to compete with Feather Immortal King? The cultivators who were watching the show in the distance were in an uproar. King Feather Fairy. What kind of terrifying existence was that? Feather Immortal King's casual attack. It had the power to destroy the world. If the cultivator who broke King Feather's attack was an older cultivator, everyone wouldn't be so shocked. But the key point was, Lin Feng was really too young. He was much younger than Little Rock King. So young. How could he be so powerful? Previously, everyone thought that Lin Feng was just an ordinary cultivator. But now everyone knew how wrong they were. Not only were the cultivators who were watching the show in the distance shocked, even the cultivators from the 4 major immortal sects were extremely shocked. They couldn't believe that a young cultivator like Lin Feng was actually so powerful. It was truly unbelievable. King Feather revealed a surprised expression. He looked at Lin Feng and asked, "What's your name? Are you worthy of knowing?" Lin Feng replied indifferently. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the surrounding cultivators, whether it was the cultivators from the 4 major immortal sects or the cultivators who were watching the show, were in an uproar. Facing an expert like King Feather, Lin Feng actually dared to say that King Feather wasn't worthy of knowing his identity. This was completely looking down on King Feather. Everyone admitted that Lin Feng was very powerful, but he wasn't so powerful that he could look down on King Feather, right? Therefore, many people thought that Lin Feng was too arrogant and egotistical. However, these people didn't understand Lin Feng. This was Lin Feng's personality. Lin Feng had always valued his opponents psychologically, but he looked down on them verbally. As a result, it was very easy to anger the other party. If that was the case, it was very difficult for the other party to unleash their combat strength to the peak. A trace of dense killing intent appeared in King Feather's eyes. Lin Feng's contempt towards him. It angered King Feather. So, right now, King Feather only wanted to kill Lin Feng. At this time, a cultivator said, "There's no need for King Feather to make a move. Leave this brat to us, we can help King Feather kill this brat. If King Feather personally makes a move, it would dirty King Feather's hands." The person who spoke was a skinny man with an extremely feminine appearance. That man was called Luo Ziming. This person was a genius of the Immortal Beast sect. His strength was extremely tyrannical. This Luo Ziming obviously wanted to flatter King Feather, so he raised King Feather and belittled Lin Feng. Furthermore, this guy didn't want to deal with Lin Feng himself, but wanted to join forces with others to deal with Lin Feng. "That's right, there's no need for King Feather to make a move. We can deal with this brat. This brat doesn't even have the qualifications to fight with King Feather." Immediately, a cultivator agreed. "King Feather, you can just rest there. We will behead that brat and give it to you." Following that, another cultivator said. These people were all flattering King Feather, mainly because King Feather was too powerful. So, they did everything they could to curry favor with King Feather. King Feather said, "I appreciate everyone's good intentions, but I haven't fought with anyone for a while. Since there's a reckless guy who dares to provoke me today, I'll take this opportunity to move around." Hearing King Feather's words, the rest of the people nodded. Luo Ziming said, "With King Feather's strength, dealing with that brat is naturally incomparably easy. We look forward to seeing King Feather kill that reckless guy." Author's note: the amniotic fluid broke, the doctor touched the child's head, waiting for the bone seam. I don't know when it will be born. This is the 7th update. It's really not easy for a wife to give birth to a child. Chapter 50-60. None of the cultivators from the 4 major immortal sects were optimistic about Lin Feng's chances. They had their own reasons for doubting Lin Feng's chances. After all, Feather Immortal King was so powerful that it wouldn't be easy to survive his attacks. Therefore, everyone thought that Lin Feng would definitely die in the hands of Feather Immortal King. As for the cultivators who were watching from afar, most of them thought that Lin Feng would die in the hands of Feather Immortal King. Only a few thought that Lin Feng would be able to defeat Feather Immortal King. This was because they thought that Lin Feng was so powerful at such a young age. Perhaps he was hiding some heaven-defying techniques. And those heaven-defying techniques were what Lin Feng relied on to defeat Feather Immortal King. At this moment, Emo Qianqiu retreated rapidly, wanting to return to the 4 major immortal sects camp. Little Rock King's expression was indifferent as he chased after Emo Qianqiu. The speed of the golden-winged Great Rock race was unparalleled. Therefore, Little Rock King's speed was unbelievably fast. It was too difficult to compete with Little Rock King in terms of speed. Even Lin Feng's speed was slightly slower than Little Rock King's. Unless Lin Feng also used the Space Dao, it was impossible for him to suppress Little Rock King in terms of speed. Therefore, Little Rock King caught up with Emo Qianqiu in an instant. Little Rock King's Great Rock Wings continued to attack Emo Qianqiu. The Great Rock Wings attack contained a destructive power that shocked everyone. One could imagine that as Little Rock King's cultivation continued to increase, the Great Rock Wings attack would definitely become stronger and more heaven-defying. In the future, it would definitely become one of the most powerful attacks. Emo Qianqiu continued to block the Great Rock Wings attack with his Devil Saber. At the same time, the 2 wolf heads continued to spit out blood-red energy balls to attack Little Rock King. However, the light beam from Little Rock King's eyes was too powerful. That golden light beam was Little Rock King's racial talent. Many powerful races had their own unique techniques that were passed down from their ancestors. The golden-winged Great Rock race had it, the Undying Realm had it, and the Sovereign Emperor race had it as well. Die! After Little Rock King suppressed Emo Qianqiu, he thrust his battle spear towards Emo Qianqiu. The previous time, Emo Qianqiu was obstructed by Feather Immortal King, hence he was unable to kill Emo Qianqiu. But now, Lin Feng and King Feather were in a standoff. The Feather Immortal King's pressure could no longer intimidate the Little Rock King. Therefore, Feather Immortal King was unable to help Enmo Qianqiu. Of course, Enmo Qianqiu wasn't willing to die like this. When the Little Rock King's battle spear came for him, Enmo Qianqiu took out a powerful defensive treasure. That treasure was actually an 8 trigrams diagram. That treasure spun rapidly and blocked in front of Enmo Qianqiu. Enmo Qianqiu's face was filled with coldness. As long as this defensive treasure could block the Little Rock King's attack, he would immediately launch a counterattack. At that time, the Little Rock King might die in his hands. Thinking of this, Enmo Qianqiu couldn't help but become extremely excited. However, the next moment, Enmo Qianqiu felt a sharp pain in his chest. He lowered his head and saw the tip of a battle spear piercing through his chest from the back. How could this be? Enmo Qianqiu roared unwillingly. He was still immersed in the beautiful fantasy of killing the Little Rock King. But in the blink of an eye, he was killed by the Little Rock King. This blow was too great. Enmo Qianqiu was about to go crazy. It turned out that when Enmo Qianqiu took out his defensive treasure to block the Little Rock King's attack, the Little Rock King had already activated the shifting phantom technique. This was also one of the trump cards of the Great Golden-Winged Rock Race. As the Great Golden-Winged Rock Race was extremely fast, when a cultivator of the Great Golden-Winged Rock Race used this technique, their original body would quickly disappear. What was left behind was actually an illusion. However, this illusion was exactly the same as the real body. Only when the original body appeared, would others realize that it was just an illusion. When the Little Rock King used this technique, he caught Enmo Qianqiu off guard. Hence, Enmo Qianqiu did not understand how he was killed by the Little Rock King. The Little Rock King's right hand shook slightly and Enmo Qianqiu's body exploded. The Little Rock King grabbed Enmo Qianqiu's storage ring. Then, he kept Enmo Qianqiu's storage ring. That was his spoils of war. Little Rock King, after I kill this brat, I'll turn you into ashes. The Feather Immortal King looked at the Little Rock King indifferently. No matter what. Enmo Qianqiu was also the Feather Immortal King's follower. Now, he was killed by the Little Rock King. Enmo Qianqiu was naturally furious. Hence, his killing intent towards the Little Rock King was very strong. Of course, Enmo Qianqiu knew that if he wanted to kill the Little Rock King, he had to get rid of Lin Feng first. In the Feather Immortal King's eyes, the Little Rock King was nothing. He could not pose any threat to him. As for Lin Feng, actually, the Feather Immortal King did not care about him. Even though Lin Feng had easily blocked his attack, Lin Feng didn't care. But so what? The Feather Immortal King was extremely confident in his own fighting strength. He believed that if he were to attack, killing Lin Feng would not be a difficult thing. The Little Rock King only laughed coldly and did not reply to the Feather Immortal King. At this moment, the Feather Immortal King charged towards Lin Feng. Brat, I'll let you have a taste of my sacred art. The Feather Immortal King's voice was indifferent. His hands formed various mysterious seals as a powerful attack was prepared. Immortal King descends. The Feather Immortal King's cold voice rang out. As his voice fell, endless immortal chi rolled in the 9 heavens. Within the immortal chi, a powerful living being appeared. That powerful living being was surrounded by endless immortal chi. His aura was noble and otherworldly. Every movement of his seemed to contain the great Tao of heaven and earth. That powerful living being. It was the ancient Immortal King that the Feather Immortal King had summoned. The Immortal King has appeared. Did the Feather Immortal King use his Immortal King body? Immediately, some cultivators exclaimed. Many people felt an almost suffocating pressure from the Immortal King. That Immortal King was too powerful. Hence, many cultivators had no choice but to retreat quickly. This was because they were worried that they would die in the battle if they were too close. In fact, the cultivators' worries were not without reason. Immortal King / Suddenly, the Immortal King spoke. He stood in the 9 heavens and waved his hand gently at Lin Feng. In an instant, billions of sword chi were like the Milky Way. All of them slashed towards Lin Feng. The void collapsed as if doomsday had arrived. Chapter 50-61. Many people were shocked. As expected of the Feather Immortal King's attack, they put themselves in his shoes. If they were to suffer such an attack, many cultivators felt that they would definitely die. Everyone looked at Lin Feng. They were also thinking. They didn't know if Lin Feng would be able to withstand the Feather Immortal King's attack. At this time, many runes appeared around Lin Feng's body. These runes. They were the magical energy immunity runes. Lin Feng's great immunity technique could make him immune to all kinds of attacks. This was also a peerless technique. Its power was incomparably tyrannical. When the billions of sword chi slashed over, in the blink of an eye, Lin Feng was surrounded by an endless amount of sword chi, but nothing happened to him. Those sword chi were all neutralized by Lin Feng's magical energy immunity runes. So strong! After seeing this scene, many people couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Then, those cultivators became excited. Because the stronger Lin Feng was, the more tragic this battle would be. And they were all here to watch the show. Naturally, they weren't afraid of things getting out of hand. The more lively it was, the more interesting it would be. Are you trying to scratch my itch? Lin Feng sneered as he walked towards the Feather Immortal King. Many people couldn't help but mutter. Lin Feng was still as arrogant as ever. The Feather Immortal King's attack was so strong, but he actually asked if it was scratching his itch. The Feather Immortal King's expression was gloomy. He said coldly, "This is just the beginning. Why are you in such a hurry? You don't have to rush to your death because I will slowly play you to death." Lin Feng retorted, "I'm not in a hurry to die. I'm in a hurry to send you off. You don't know the meaning of death." The Feather Immortal King's gaze was gloomy. In terms of arguing, he was naturally not a match for Lin Feng. Therefore, the Feather Immortal King didn't continue arguing with Lin Feng. The Feather Immortal King continued to communicate with the Immortal King's clone floating in the sky. Immortal extermination. The Immortal King spoke again. Next, the Immortal King unleashed a new attack. The Immortal King waved his hand. Suddenly, an endless amount of destructive power descended from the sky. That kind of destructive power was very special, and it seemed to contain the power to destroy the world. Therefore, that kind of destructive power was many times stronger than ordinary destructive power. Immortal annihilation was the origin of the Immortal Annihilation technique. Lin Feng's expression was ice-cold in the face of this powerful technique. "Hope!" Lin Feng's cold voice rang out. He continued to step forward. Then, he threw a punch at the destructive power that was pouring down from the 9 heavens. Immortals destroying the world represented destruction, death, and despair. What Lin Feng used was the Great Hope technique, recorded in the 3,000 Great Ways. His secret technique, on the other hand, gave others hope. These were two completely opposite forces. It was like the contrast between darkness and light. Bang! Along with the sound of violent collisions, Lin Feng punched out at the surging power of destruction. Justice would eventually triumph over evil. Light would dispel darkness. Therefore, when Lin Feng's fist was about to explode, his fist of hope, it broke the Immortal King's Immortal Annihilation technique. "That guy is so powerful, he has already broken 2 of the Feather Immortal King's attacks." Some cultivators exclaimed in surprise. Everyone knew how powerful the Feather Immortal King was. But now, the combat power that Lin Feng displayed was actually suppressing the Feather Immortal King. Everyone's inner world couldn't help but be set off huge waves. Many people couldn't help but have a thought in their minds. Could it be that young cultivator? Did he really have the strength to defeat the Feather Immortal King? Many cultivators who were originally full of confidence in the Feather Immortal King began to waver at this moment. Meteor fire! Suddenly, the Immortal King let out a low voice again. After his voice died down, above the 9 heavens, fire clouds rolled. Everyone looked up and saw that the fire clouds above the 9 heavens seemed to cover the sky and the sun. Waves of terrifying pressure spread out from the fire clouds. Seeing this scene, many people were shocked. Obviously, the Immortal King Yao summoned by the Feather Immortal King had used some top-notch technique. The name of that top-notch technique should be meteor fire. But at the moment, everyone only knew of its name. Everyone didn't know what was so special about that top-notch technique. But in the next moment they knew. In the fire clouds, countless meteors fell from the sky. Those meteorites were all burning fiercely. Every burning meteorite seemed to have fallen from the 9 heavens. Meteorite attack? Such an attack isn't rare. It shouldn't be able to cause any harm to that young master, right? After seeing the falling meteorites, a cultivator immediately said. Summoning meteorites to attack wasn't rare. It could even be said to be rather common. Of course, the various divine abilities were also very different. Some were powerful. Some were weak. For example, the meteorites that the immortal king summoned. It was terrifying enough. But everyone knew that when one's combat power reached the level of Lin Feng and the Feather Immortal King, the attacks that were released were powerful, but it wasn't easy to injure the opponent. Because cultivators at their level all had many powerful methods. Facing these powerful attacks, they could naturally find a way to resist. In order to injure the opponent, not only did the attack have to be powerful, it also had to be special. It's not an ordinary meteorite attack. The meteor fire divine ability has an additional effect. This additional effect is called ignition. This ability is very terrifying because once it happens, the power of the meteor fire divine ability will increase by more than 10 times. It's said that it can reach a maximum of 30 times. A cultivator said at this moment. This cultivator was more familiar with the meteor fire divine ability. Now that he said the terrifying part of the meteor fire divine ability, many people couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. If what this cultivator said was true, then it was too terrifying. It was simply shocking. At this moment, Lin Feng took out a huge golden light shield. It was the Vajra Great Light Shield that was condensed from the supreme secret technique passed down in Buddhism. The defensive power of the Vajra Great Light Shield was extremely extraordinary. Bang, 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 along with the sound of violent collisions, one after another, came the sound of violent collisions. The huge flaming meteorites ruthlessly smashed onto the Vajra Great Light Shield. The power of the Vajra Great Light Shield was indeed tyrannical. The meteorites that smashed down were not able to destroy the Vajra Great Light Shield. After seeing this scene, many people couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Lin Feng's methods were really powerful. However, at this moment, the densely packed flaming meteorites formed a special connection. When that connection was formed, the flames immediately burned dozens of times more fiercely. Ignition effect. Those flaming meteorites had successfully activated the ignition effect. The power of those flaming meteorites had increased by dozens of times. Countless flaming meteorites instantly drowned Lin Feng. Chapter 5062. After seeing the flames that blotted out the sky, many people couldn't help but show expressions of horror on their faces. Not to mention enduring the attack of the flaming meteors, everyone had a feeling that if they were enveloped by those flames, they would be burned to ashes. The situation in front of them was too terrifying. This time, I'm afraid that brat can only die, right? At this moment, someone spoke up. Right now, Lin Feng had been completely engulfed by the ignited flames and flaming meteors. There was no trace of Lin Feng at all. Therefore, some cultivators felt that Lin Feng was definitely going to die. There were many cultivators who had this thought. The effect of the ignition is too terrifying. The power instantly increased by dozens of times. If one is enveloped by such an attack, it would be too despairing. That's right. Although that young master of the human clan is very powerful, now that he has been engulfed by the ignited meteor fire, he will definitely be attacked by the meteor fire. This time, he will definitely not be able to escape. Many cultivators began to discuss spiritedly. They were already extremely pessimistic about Lin Feng. The current situation was indeed extremely disadvantageous for Lin Feng. It was no wonder that those cultivators did not think highly of Lin Feng. Some of the cultivators who originally thought highly of Lin Feng could not help but frown at this moment. The situation in front of them indeed made them feel extremely desperate. Therefore, even they felt that Lin Feng would probably die under the attack of the meteor fire. Little Rock King's expression also became extremely unsightly. He was naturally incomparably confident in Lin Feng. However, the Feather Immortal King's attack was too powerful. Even if he was very confident in Lin Feng, he still couldn't help but worry about Lin Feng's safety. Boom, boom, boom. More and more flaming meteors fell. The attacks of the flaming meteors became more and more concentrated and violent. The attacks of the flaming meteors were simply too terrifying. Many people only felt the power of the flaming meteors from afar, and their faces had already turned extremely pale. However, as time passed, the power of the flaming meteors began to gradually decrease. In the end, the flaming meteors' attack dissipated. When the energy dissipated, everyone discovered Lin Feng actually disappeared without a trace. Could it be that his soul has already dissipated? Not even his corpse remains? At this time, a cultivator spoke up. Actually, the possibility of this happening was quite high. Because the attack just now was so terrifying. Not to mention a body of flesh and blood, anything that was subjected to such a terrifying attack could be completely destroyed. He must have turned into ashes. What a pity! If he had lived, who knows what kind of terrifying existence he would have become in the future? Someone couldn't help but sigh. Many cultivators were whispering to each other about Lin Feng's death. Some felt sorry for him, some took pleasure in his misfortune, some did not care. There were all kinds of people. Look! At this time, a cultivator pointed at the area where Feather Immortal King was and exclaimed. Everyone looked over. Then, everyone's eyes couldn't help but widen. Everyone's face could not help showing a shocked expression. Because they saw Lin Feng silently appear behind Feather Immortal King. Originally, everyone thought that Lin Feng had died under Feather Immortal King's attack. Only now did they realize that Lin Feng was completely fine. Moreover, he had concealed himself from everyone's perception and appeared behind Feather Immortal King. Many people could not help but exclaim. Only now did they realize that they had underestimated Lin Feng's ability. How could an expert who had cultivated to such a level die so easily? He must have a very deep understanding of the Tao of space and the Tao of void. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to hide from everyone's perception. Apart from that, his defensive power must be incomparably strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to block the meteor's attack. I'm guessing that he found an opportunity to leave when the meteor completely landed. Then, he quietly appeared behind Feather Immortal King, said a cultivator. This cultivator's words seemed to have struck a chord in everyone's heart. Indeed, it was as this cultivator had said. Lin Feng was able to escape from the meteor's attack and appear behind Feather Immortal King because he had mastered so many powerful techniques. Lin Feng directly activated the six-fold Dracophant arm and attacked Feather Immortal King. Feather Immortal King's meteor was indeed incomparably terrifying. Moreover, Lin Feng knew that Feather Immortal King's ultimate technique should only be one of his many ultimate techniques. It could not even be considered the strongest one. Feather Immortal King's strength could be seen from this point. It was not easy to deal with a terrifying existence like Feather Immortal King. Lin Feng felt that close combat would be a good choice. Lin Feng's physical body was tyrannical. However, this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that his archaic Dracophant art was extremely terrifying. The archaic Dracophant art was suitable for close combat. For example, the six-fold Dracophant arm in the archaic Dracophant art was simply a heaven-defying killing weapon. It was also one of Lin Feng's favorite techniques in close combat. Feather Immortal King's senses were also very powerful. When Lin Feng appeared behind him and attacked him, Lin Feng's expression changed drastically. Feather Immortal King had already sensed it. Feather Immortal King's attack was extremely fast. He turned around and punched towards Lin Feng. The power of this punch was quite tyrannical. However, in the face of Lin Feng's six-fold Dracophant arm, it was still not enough. Feather Immortal King was blown away by Lin Feng's punch. This punch had a great impact on Feather Immortal King. His Dharma energy was in a mess. Therefore, the Immortal King's incarnation in the sky directly dissipated. Feather Immortal King, you're too weak compared to me. Lin Feng looked indifferent as he continued walking towards Feather Immortal King. Lin Feng had already locked onto Feather Immortal King. Now, it was extremely difficult for Feather Immortal King to get rid of Lin Feng. Lin Feng arrived in front of Feather Immortal King. He swung his right arm again and punched towards Feather Immortal King. Brat, you're too arrogant. If you hadn't ambushed me, would I have been blown away? A human cultivator dares to compete with me in terms of physical strength? How ridiculous. Now I'll let you know that your physical body is pitifully weak in front of me. Feather Immortal King looked at Lin Feng indifferently. He was obviously not convinced that Lin Feng had forced him to retreat. Besides, he called Lin Feng's attack a sneak attack. He looked down on Lin Feng even more. Feather Immortal King was indeed very strong, but this guy was too petty. Lin Feng had used the Space Dao to attack him from behind. That was a top-level Great Dao, but this guy called it a sneak attack. A guy who didn't admit that others were strong was destined to be pitiful. No matter how strong Feather Immortal King was, he couldn't become a Zune cultivator because of his state of mind. Chapter 50-63. Feather Immortal King wanted to prove himself, so he didn't hesitate to attack Lin Feng. Feather Immortal King's body was extremely strong, which was why he was so confident. Many golden scales appeared on Feather Immortal King's body. No one knew what race he was from, but it was strange to see so many scales on his body. When the scales appeared, Feather Immortal King's body became stronger. It's the Golden Scale Armor. Feather Immortal King is from the Golden Scale clan. When the Golden Scale Armor appears, his body will reach the peak. It's said that even immortal weapons can't break through the defense of the Golden Scale Armor. A cultivator said when he saw the golden scales on Feather Immortal King's body. The defense of the Golden Scale Armor is so strong? A cultivator said in surprise. That's right. That's why the cultivators of the Golden Scale race have an unparalleled physical body. It's mainly because of the special golden scales that appear on the surface of their bodies. Those golden scales can form a protective barrier for the cultivators of the Golden Scale race. Apart from that, they can also strengthen the cultivators of the Golden Scale race. That young human cultivator's physical body seems to be extremely strong, but it's not enough against the Feather Immortal King, another cultivator said. Everyone knows that the human cultivator's body is weak, but that human cultivator's body is so strong. It completely changed everyone's impression of the human cultivator's weak body. He's someone who can create miracles. Besides, he chose to fight against Feather Immortal King because he's very confident in his body. That's why I think that young human cultivator is better, another cultivator said. He felt that Lin Feng could suppress Feather Immortal King. Bang! At that moment, Lin Feng and Feather Immortal King's fists collided. The dull sound of the collision was like two immortal mountains crashing into each other. The collision between Lin Feng and Feather Immortal King was quite shocking. What surprised Lin Feng was that Feather Immortal King was able to block his punch. However, Lin Feng sneered. That punch just now was just the beginning. Lin Feng continued to use the six-fold Dracophant arm to attack Feather Immortal King. Feather Immortal King's face turned ugly. Feather Immortal King thought that he would be able to suppress Lin Feng after activating the Golden Scale Armor. However, that wasn't the case. He activated the Golden Scale Armor. But not only did he fail to suppress Lin Feng, he was suppressed by Lin Feng. On the surface, he didn't lose anything. However, he knew that his body's body was severely damaged by Lin Feng's punch. This impact caused King Feather Immortal to feel extreme pain. Feather Immortal King was to be angry. Because, surprisingly, he was at a disadvantage against Lin Feng's physical strength. The Golden Scale clan had a strong body. The human race had a weak physical body. The cultivators of the Golden Scale tribe, who had strong physical bodies, were actually being suppressed by the human cultivators who had weak physical bodies. How could the arrogant Feather Immortal King accept such a thing? Therefore, Feather Immortal King was incomparably furious. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He wanted to tear Lin Feng into pieces. However, no matter how aggrieved and angry he was, he still had to face reality. Feather Immortal King knew where his advantage was. His advantage was that his realm was high, and his mana was strong. This was what he should rely on. Although Lin Feng was also very strong, Feather Immortal King felt that Lin Feng's realm wasn't too high. Therefore, in terms of mana, Lin Feng was at a disadvantage. Feather Immortal King, who understood this, planned to distance himself from Lin Feng. Then, he attacked Lin Feng again. But Lin Feng didn't plan to give Feather Immortal King this chance. Perhaps some people felt that winning a life and death battle was very important. But Lin Feng didn't have this kind of hobby. As long as he could win a life and death battle, it didn't matter if he won beautifully or not. Surviving was the most important thing. A physical battle was the method that Lin Feng was most confident in. Although it might not be as dazzling as a sacred art battle. But as long as he could kill the other party, the process wasn't important. What was important was the result. Facing Lin Feng, who was following closely behind, Feather Immortal King had no choice but to continue the physical battle with Lin Feng. Bang! 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 Both sides collided with each other again and again. 3 consecutive punches. The golden scale that appeared on Feather Immortal King's arm exploded. Obviously, Feather Immortal King's body could no longer withstand Lin Feng's powerful attacks. Under Lin Feng's attack, Feather Immortal King suffered serious injuries. Damn it! Feather Immortal King's face instantly became extremely gloomy. Feather Immortal King had fought with others many times in the past, but he had never lost. But now, he had suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of Lin Feng. This made Feather Immortal King go crazy. When the surrounding cultivators saw that Feather Immortal King was injured by Lin Feng, they couldn't help but reveal extremely shocked expressions. Those cultivators who had previously thought highly of Feather Immortal King were even more dumbfounded. Feather Immortal King's tyrannical body was actually injured by Lin Feng. Just how tyrannical was Lin Feng's body? Lin Feng continued to attack Feather Immortal King. As the saying goes, beat a drowning dog. This logic Lin Feng naturally understood. Take advantage of his illness. Take his life. Miss this village. There won't be this shop. Lin Feng wanted to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kill Feather Immortal King. An even more tyrannical power erupted. Feather Immortal King felt a suffocating pressure. Lin Feng's attack. It had already threatened his life. Even Lin Feng thought that he could kill Feather Immortal King. However, just as Lin Feng's terrifying attack was about to hit Feather Immortal King's body, Feather Immortal King's body actually shattered into pieces. Then, Feather Immortal King's body flew in all directions. Lin Feng's punch. It directly hit the air. Feather Immortal King's shattered body completely reassembled hundreds of meters away. Lin Feng was a little dumbfounded. Just now. What kind of technique did Feather Immortal King use? It was actually so strange. Lin Feng originally thought that he could kill Feather Immortal King. However, Feather Immortal King used such a strange method to dodge his attack, which made Lin Feng feel rather helpless. However, Lin Feng would not feel discouraged because of this. Fragmentation technique. This is a top-notch secret technique that Feather Immortal King has mastered. Rumor has it that even if his body is torn into pieces, he won't die. Previously, I always thought that this secret technique was a little exaggerated. Now that I see Feather Immortal King using this secret technique, I know that those rumors were not exaggerated at all. After seeing Feather Immortal King use this powerful secret technique, a cultivator immediately spoke up. The other cultivators also had a look of surprise on their faces, because the secret technique that Feather Immortal King used was indeed too strange. Chapter 50-64. King Yu Xian looked at Lin Feng icily after he finished reforming his physical body. His voice was gloomy as he said, Why is your physical body so unbelievably strong? You are a human cultivator. The fleshly body of a human cultivator is extremely weak compared to the fleshly bodies of other races. Even after postnatal cultivation, the fleshly body of a human is still extremely weak. This is a congenital deficiency. No matter how much effort you put in, it should not be possible to improve your fleshly body to this extent. Just what did you experience to make your fleshly body so strong? Lin Feng sneered. You really think too highly of yourself. Don't you know that the human race is the race with the greatest learning and comprehension ability? The other races might have a bottleneck in their cultivation of the grand Tao and the physical body, but human cultivators don't have such a bottleneck. As long as they grasp the correct method, they can create endless possibilities. No other race can compare to human cultivators. What shameless boasting! The human race is just a lowly race. Feather Immortal King retorted as soon as Lin Feng finished speaking. Clearly, he didn't agree with Lin Feng's words. In the eyes of many races, the human race was just a lowly race. Feather Immortal King thought the same. They always wanted to find a sense of superiority in comparison. They wanted to prove that their race was a noble race. Lin Feng sneered. They say that the ignorant are fearless. This phrase is very suitable for you. You're not only ignorant, but you're also very self-righteous. Looking at you now, I suddenly thought of a word to describe you. It's called a clown. What do you think of my description? Feather Immortal King's eyes became even colder after hearing Lin Feng's mockery. He said, I'll show you how strong I am soon. King Yu Xian made some hand seals, and a pair of wings appeared on his back. King Yu Xian's name had the word Yu in it. Lin Feng initially thought it was King Yu Xian's family name, but now it seemed like it wasn't King Yu Xian's family name. Maybe it was King Yu Xian's family name, but now it seemed like it wasn't King Yu Xian's family name. Whoosh whoosh. Feather Immortal King's wings fluttered rapidly, following Feather Immortal King's wings. Suddenly, an illusory world appeared behind Feather Immortal King. Terrifying creatures came out of that illusory world one after another. Those creatures all had wings on their backs and swords in their hands. They were like immortal gods, extremely fast. They surrounded Lin Feng and attacked him. It's the Feather Immortal technique. It's a peerless technique. Rumor has it that the Feather Immortal King passed it down from the Feather Immortal King. It's still very impressive. That skill is indeed powerful. Feather Immortal King's energy is extremely strong. He can unleash the full power of that skill. It's extremely difficult to defend against such a powerful attack. I wonder if that young master of the human race can defend against Feather Immortal King's attack? Many spectators started discussing. They were very curious to see if Lin Feng could block Feather Immortal King's attack. Lin Feng had shown how strong he was and even injured Feather Immortal King. However, Lin Feng had used his physical strength to injure Feather Immortal King, not his Dharma energy or divine techniques. Even if two people at the same level cultivated for 100,000 years and one for 1,000,000 years, the cultivator who had cultivated for 1,000,000 years would have accumulated more Dharma energy. Lin Feng was very strong, but many people thought that Lin Feng was still too young. He couldn't compare to Feather Immortal King in terms of Dharma energy. That was why Lin Feng chose to use physical body arts against Feather Immortal King. What did that mean? It meant that Lin Feng wasn't confident in his Dharma energy and divine techniques. That was why he used his physical body arts to suppress Feather Immortal King's physical body. He even wanted to kill Feather Immortal King with his physical body arts. Many cultivators had the same thought. Lin Feng smiled coldly when he saw the terrifying creatures flying towards him. He started walking in the sky. 9 holy emperors of the human race appeared behind Lin Feng. Human Emperor, world suppressing. Lin Feng's voice reverberated in the sky. He was using the imperial scriptures of the human race. 9 human emperors shook the world. How powerful and terrifying was that? 9 human emperors stepped forward. In a flash, the terrifying creatures that were flying towards Lin Feng exploded one after another. It's the legendary imperial scriptures of the human race. Someone exclaimed. It seemed like there was no lack of knowledgeable people in this world. Even the imperial scriptures of the human race had been seen through. The 9 human emperors rushed towards Feather Immortal King. Feather Immortal King's face turned ugly when he sensed the power of the 9 human emperors. They were absolutely terrifying. They had the power to destroy the world. Feather Immortal King originally wanted to use Dharma energy and divine techniques to suppress Lin Feng, but he didn't think that it would work. Of course, Feather Immortal King's expression quickly returned to normal because he also had many powerful divine techniques. Facing the attacks of the 9 human emperors, Feather Immortal King's body emitted waves of immortal light. The immortal light quickly condensed into powerful creatures. Upon closer inspection, those creatures were actually ancient immortal kings. This was the special ability of the Immortal King physique. The Immortal King physique was incomparably heaven-defying. It could always display some extraordinary abilities. When the Immortal King physique was released, the Immortal King physique would be incomparably terrifying. Now, the Immortal King physique was once again terrifying. Feather Immortal King had condensed too many Immortal King physiques. There were so many of them that no one knew how many there were. Every single Immortal King physique had terrifying combat strength. So many Immortal King physiques rushed towards the 9 human emperors summoned by Lin Feng. The two sides engaged in an intense battle in the sky. The 9 human emperors summoned by Lin Feng couldn't do anything to the Immortal King physiques. But the Immortal King physiques summoned by Feather Immortal King couldn't do anything to the 9 human emperors summoned by Lin Feng. In the end, Lin Feng's 9 human emperors and the many Immortal King physiques summoned by Feather Immortal King were annihilated. Die, kid! At this moment, Feather Immortal King condensed a new attack. Feather Immortal King turned into a dazzling immortal light. That immortal light finally condensed into an immortal sword. That immortal sword was called the Sword of Heaven Opening. When the sword slashed out, it was as if it could split the heaven and earth. Chapter 50-65. The power of the Heaven Opening Sword was incomparably terrifying. It tore the void apart with ease. This kind of power was truly frightening. A cultivator exclaimed, "A human can turn into an immortal sword and slay ghosts and gods with a single slash. The Feather Immortal King's ultimate technique is too powerful. I heard that this ultimate technique can slice through the void and destroy the heavens and the underworld. Now that the Feather Immortal King has used this ultimate technique, I wonder if that young genius from the human race will be able to withstand this terrifying attack." Hearing this, the rest of the people's expressions changed. This attack was truly too terrifying. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to unleash such a powerful attack. Perhaps only a peerless genius like the Feather Immortal King would be able to unleash such a terrifying attack. Everyone held their breaths and looked at Lin Feng. Everyone couldn't help but have the same thought. How could Lin Feng block such a powerful attack from the Feather Immortal King? It was truly too difficult to block such a powerful attack. Interesting. At this moment, Lin Feng spoke. When everyone heard Lin Feng's words, they couldn't help but be stunned. Such a powerful attack was only interesting in Lin Feng's eyes? Wasn't Lin Feng underestimating the Feather Immortal King's attack too much? The Feather Immortal King sneered. "When you die under my attack later, you'll know how foolish your current actions are." Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He didn't care about the Feather Immortal King anymore. Instead, he tried to activate the Blade of God in his dantian. Buzz. Accompanied by a violent vibration, a violent energy wave swept across the world. Lin Feng took out the Blade of God. Then, it quickly swept towards the heaven-opening sword that the Feather Immortal King had turned into. When the Blade of God was in midair, it had already formed a connection with the ancient weapon, the Blade of God. A powerful energy passed through the boundless void and crossed the distance of space, quickly transmitting into this world. Then, all of that energy was absorbed by the Blade of Dominion. The power of the Blade of God. His strength had increased tremendously. The Sovereign's Blade was an ability that Lin Feng had obtained when his Sovereign Emperor's blood had awakened to a deeper level. Lin Feng knew exactly how powerful this ability was. Once it connected with the ancient weapon, its power would increase exponentially. Clang! This was accompanied by the clanging sound of collision. The heaven-opening sword formed by Feather Immortal King clashed violently with the blade of domination summoned by Lin Feng. Following the violent collision, the surrounding space began to crack. Everyone was shocked when they saw this because the destruction caused by the battle between the two sides was just too terrifying. It's not surprising that the Feather Immortal King is so powerful. After all, the Feather Immortal King has been famous for a long time. He even went to the Heaven Realm to cultivate for many years. However, that young human cultivator is also so powerful. This is unbelievable. No matter what kind of move the Feather Immortal King uses, he seems to have a way to deal with it. It's really unbelievable. At this moment, a cultivator couldn't help but sigh. Previously, many cultivators felt that when the two sides fought with magic power and divine abilities, as long as the Feather Immortal King used some of his trump cards. For example, the Feather Immortal King had just transformed into the Heaven-Opening Sword. Lin Feng was definitely not a match for the Feather Immortal King. But now, no one thought so anymore. The battle prowess that Lin Feng had displayed had deeply shocked everyone. If Lin Feng was given time, what was the Feather Immortal King? This was how the world was. There would never be a lack of top-notch geniuses. There was always a mountain higher than the other. This was what it meant. Of course. Everyone knew that what Lin Feng lacked the most now was time. The heavens wouldn't give him time to make up for the fact that he had only cultivated for a short period of time. Now that the battle was incomparably intense, it was hard to say what the outcome of the battle would be. Clang, clang, clang. The heaven-opening sword formed by the Feather Immortal King clashed with the blade of God that Lin Feng had summoned. The surrounding void was shattering more and more. After more than 10 consecutive collisions, suddenly, the heaven-opening sword formed by the Feather Immortal King split into two. One of the heaven-opening swords slashed towards the blade of God. The other heaven-opening sword quickly attacked Lin Feng. The heaven-opening sword that was slashing towards the blade of God immediately stalled the blade of God. The other heaven-opening sword had already arrived in front of Lin Feng and slashed towards him. It wanted to split Lin Feng into two. What kind of technique is this? After seeing this, everyone couldn't help but be stunned. They didn't understand what was going on. The two heaven-opening swords were incomparably powerful. Therefore, the two heaven-opening swords were the real heaven-opening swords. One was real and the other was fake. I know, this technique can actually transform into two heaven-opening swords. The two heaven-opening swords have the same power. Earlier on, the Feather Immortal King had only used one heaven-opening sword to deal with the young master's attacks. It was to confuse him and make him let down his guard. Once he let down his guard, the Feather Immortal King would immediately use the other heaven-opening sword to deal with him. At this moment, a cultivator said. After hearing this cultivator's words, the others couldn't help but nod their heads. These words. It was very reasonable. At this moment, the second heaven-opening sword had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. This heaven-opening sword had appeared so suddenly that Lin Feng couldn't use any other powerful techniques to deal with it. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. An expert like the Feather Immortal King was indeed terrifying. One really couldn't underestimate a genius like him. Otherwise, it would be a very difficult matter. Of course, Lin Feng didn't underestimate the Feather Immortal King. Although his words were somewhat provocative and disdainful, it was just a method to infuriate the Feather Immortal King. Facing the fatal attack of the Feather Immortal King, Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique. He wanted to borrow another chance from the heavens. When Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique, shwa! There was a flash of light. Lin Feng disappeared without a trace. The Feather Immortal King's attack. Instead, his attack landed in the air. He dodged it! Many cultivators exclaimed. Everyone thought that Lin Feng wouldn't be able to dodge the attack of the Feather Immortal King. However, Lin Feng dodged it. Lin Feng reappeared 100 meters away. When he reappeared, Lin Feng walked towards the heaven-opening sword that the Feather Immortal King had transformed into. As Lin Feng walked, he chanted an incantation. The great Tao of curses, please descend upon me with the power of curses. I will use the power of curses to defeat my enemies. Chapter 50-66. When Lin Feng chanted the incantation, a large amount of cursed power gushed out from the cursed clay figurine. The cursed power all poured into Lin Feng's body. Originally, Lin Feng's success rate of casting the great curse art was not very high. Perhaps, he could only succeed once after casting it dozens of times. The success rate of casting the great curse art had always been relatively low. No matter who cast the great curse art, the success rate was not high. As for those cultivators who had a higher success rate of casting the great curse art, they often had some special methods. For example, the cursed doll's success rate of casting the great curse art was extremely high. The reason was that the cursed doll had some special methods, so it could greatly increase the success rate of casting the great curse art. Now that Lin Feng had mastered the method of molding clay figurines and stone statues, it could be considered a special method. When Lin Feng borrowed the curse power from the clay figurine and stone statues, the success rate of casting the great curse art would greatly increase. If he cast it now, the success rate would be more than 80%. After Lin Feng's voice fell, the invisible curse power immediately descended. Others might not be able to sense the existence of this curse power, but Lin Feng could. This curse power had a close connection with Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng could not help but be happy. It seemed that the great curse art was successful. He tried to control the curse power to deal with Feather Immortal King. The powerful curse power surged toward the heaven-opening sword that Feather Immortal King had turned into. Bang! The invisible curse power fiercely collided with the heaven-opening sword, accompanied by a violent collision sound. The heaven-opening sword was blasted away. In midair, the heaven-opening sword turned into Feather Immortal King's body. As for the other heaven-opening sword, it couldn't hold on any longer and shattered. It seemed like there was a difference between the two heaven-opening swords. Even though their strength was almost the same, only one of them could transform into the true body of Feather Immortal King. The other heaven-opening sword shattered when Feather Immortal King's body could no longer maintain the heaven-opening sword form, just like the current situation. After Feather Immortal King was beaten back to his original form by Lin Feng, his expression was extremely ugly. His perception was very strong. He could sense an extremely strange and powerful force rapidly approaching him. That strange and powerful force made his hair stand on end. Therefore, Feather Immortal King chose to quickly retreat, wanting to get rid of that invisible and terrifying force. However, he could not get rid of Lin Feng's curse power. Puff! The curse power that Feather Immortal King's body was pierced through Feather Immortal King's body. Feather Immortal King's body retreated and his face became extremely pale. Feather Immortal King is severely injured Immortal King's body. After seeing Feather Immortal King's chest being pierced through, a cultivator immediately exclaimed. Feather Immortal King's injuries were too severe. Such an injury would be fatal for an ordinary person. Feather Immortal King's cultivation was very strong and his vitality was vigorous. Although his chest was pierced through, it was not fatal. However, even if it was not fatal, the injury was still very serious. It would affect Feather Immortal King's battle strength. In fact, Feather Immortal King was already injured by Lin Feng when he was fighting against Lin Feng. In the end, he managed to get rid of Lin Feng and successfully fought against Lin Feng. However, the current Feather Immortal King was injured and his battle prowess had decreased by quite a bit. But now, Feather Immortal King was even more injured. Feather Immortal King's situation was extremely bad. That human cultivator is too strong, isn't he? Even Feather Immortal King was injured by him. Doesn't this mean that Feather Immortal King is not his match? At this moment, a cultivator said. That is indeed the case. That cultivator's battle strength is too heaven-defying. However, I wonder who he is. He is so young and yet he is so terrifying. It is really hard to understand. How did he manage to increase his battle strength? Do you guys think that Feather Immortal King will be killed by that young human cultivator? At this moment, a cultivator said. If Feather Immortal King was killed, it would definitely be a sensational event. If Feather Immortal King died, it would cause an even greater sensation than those experts with a strong foundation. Those experts with a strong foundation had already lost their will to improve after being sealed for so long. In addition, their bodies were suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth. Therefore, their future was bleak. Unless those experts with a strong foundation found a way to get rid of the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth, their lifespan would quickly decrease and their battle strength would continue to decrease. However, Feather Immortal King was different. Feather Immortal King was very young and his cultivation was very strong. He was so young. He was so strong. Feather Immortal King's future was bright. He would definitely be an overlord in the future. Therefore, if Feather Immortal King died, it would cause an extremely shocking sensation. Swoosh! At this moment, Lin Feng quickly charged towards Feather Immortal King. Lin Feng wanted to seize this rare opportunity to kill Feather Immortal King. Feather Immortal King, your era is over. Dying at my hands is not an unjust death. Lin Feng looked at Feather Immortal King indifferently, and said coldly. Feather Immortal King's expression was extremely gloomy. He said coldly, You want to kill me? You must be dreaming. Today, I lost to you not because I couldn't defeat you, but because I fell into your trap and allowed you to get close to me. If I didn't fight you with my physical body and get injured, do you think you would be my match? Feather Immortal King was clearly unwilling to accept Lin Feng. He felt that he couldn't fully unleash his battle strength because he was injured during the fight. That was the reason why he couldn't defeat Lin Feng, not because he couldn't defeat Lin Feng. Lin Feng sneered and said, A loss is a loss. This is a world that only looks at the result, not the process. I think you should know that. When Lin Feng finished talking, he jumped forwards and his body turned into a yin and yang 8 trigrams. That yin-yang 8 trigrams diagram swept through the void, shattering heaven and earth, and then swept towards Feather Immortal King. He wanted to kill Feather Immortal King. Feather Immortal King was heavily injured, so he didn't dare to continue fighting Lin Feng. Facing Lin Feng's attack, Feather Immortal King took out a miniature golden puppet. The runes on the miniature golden puppet instantly came to life. In the next moment, the miniature golden puppet turned into Feather Immortal King's appearance. Then, it pounced towards Lin Feng. Today, my wife was given an injection to induce labor. It's estimated that she will give birth in the second half of the night. It's really tiring to stay up all night. However, no matter how tired I am, I must continue to update because I need to repay my brothers and sisters who support Old Mantu. Chapter 50-67. This was a very special kind of puppet technique. The puppet that turned into the Feather Immortal King's true body was very powerful. However, it didn't seem that strong in front of Lin Feng. Even the Feather Immortal King was defeated, let alone the Feather Immortal King's puppet. When the puppet attacked, Lin Feng's yin-yang 8 trigrams swept towards the puppet. Pooh! The head of the puppet was instantly chopped off by Lin Feng's yin-yang 8 trigrams. After seeing this, many people couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Lin Feng was really too powerful. It seemed that the Feather Immortal King would definitely die today. However, in the next moment, they realized that something was wrong. After Lin Feng killed the puppet, Lin Feng was stunned. The Feather Immortal King's body seemed to have teleported. He disappeared without a trace. What's going on? Many people showed puzzled expressions. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Lin Feng was more familiar with the Tao of space. Therefore, when Lin Feng had killed the puppet, he had noticed something special about it. When he killed the puppet, an invisible force seemed to be emitted from the puppet's body. Then, that invisible force formed a void passage. The void power surged out and enveloped the Feather Immortal King. The Feather Immortal King instantly entered the void passage. Lin Feng tried to seal the void passage, However, he realized that the void passage was a one-time use one. After using it once, the void passage would disappear. Since the Feather Immortal King had already used the void passage, Lin Feng couldn't use it anymore. This made Lin Feng feel very helpless. If that was the case, his plan to kill the Feather Immortal King had completely failed. The Feather Immortal King escaped? A cultivator said in surprise. Someone nodded and said, "Indeed, he escaped. I knew it. Feather Immortal King wouldn't be killed that easily. He has many tricks up his sleeves. Even though he can't defeat that young man, it's not a problem for him to escape. It seems like the result is the same as what I expected. Speaking of which, that young genius from the human race is really too strong. Even Feather Immortal King is no match for him. I wonder what kind of expert would be able to deal with him." The surrounding cultivators whispered to each other and discussed. At this moment, the cultivators of the four major immortal sects turned around and tried to escape. However, they felt as if they had lost control of their bodies. Their legs seemed to be rooted to the ground. Their bodies and minds could no longer come to an agreement. Lin Feng looked at Luo Ziming and sneered. "Were you the one who said you wanted to kill me?" Luo Ziming was so scared that his whole body trembled. Previously, in order to flatter Feather Immortal King, he jumped out and used words to humiliate Lin Feng. Now, even Feather Immortal King had been injured by Lin Feng and had escaped. He was nothing in front of Lin Feng. "Spare me! Young master, please spare my worthless life. I will never offend you again, and I won't dare to cause trouble for the monsters anymore." Luo Ziming screamed in horror. Actually, Luo Ziming's cultivation was very strong, but the gap between him and Lin Feng was too big. Therefore, Luo Ziming had no intention of fighting against Lin Feng. If he dared to use it, he would die miserably. "Spare you? Do you think that's possible?" Lin Feng sneered. He raised his right hand and waved it in the air. A splashing sound was heard. Luo Ziming's head soared into the sky. "He's dead! Luo Ziming is dead! He won't let us go! Let's fight him to the death! That's right! Let's fight him to the death! With so many of us working together, we might not lose to him!" The other cultivators couldn't help but shout loudly. Over 100 cultivators knew that they couldn't just sit and wait for death. Otherwise, they would definitely die. Therefore, they decided to fight to the death. Over 100 cultivators were all very strong. Now that they had made up their minds to fight against Lin Feng, their wills merged together. Above them, there was even a smoke of essence. Initially, those people had been oppressed by Lin Feng's invisible and intangible qi. They couldn't move at all. But now, their wills had merged together and dissolved the pressure that Lin Feng had exerted on them. Therefore, they were able to move again. This group of cultivators quickly rushed towards Lin Feng. Their killing intent was clear. They looked like they wouldn't rest until Lin Feng was dead. "I will grant you death." Seeing this group of cultivators surrounding and attacking him, Lin Feng's cold voice sounded. His voice was like the voice of death that floated out from hell. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, a large amount of death energy filled the air. The force of death instantly shrouded the cultivators. "Oh my God, look at this!" Some cultivators who were watching the battle in the distance pointed at the cultivators of the four major immortal sects and cried out in horror. Everyone looked over. They saw that the cultivators of the four major immortal sects were rapidly aging. In the blink of an eye, they became old men with white hair and stooped bodies. This change happened in an extremely short period of time. Many people didn't even have time to react before those cultivators became extremely old. "How can this be? No, this can't be real. What about me? How did I end up like this?" The cultivators of the four major immortal sects cried out in horror. They didn't want to die. They didn't want to die in this way. They watched their bodies grow old until they died. This method of death made people feel despair. But no one could change this. They watched themselves die slowly. In the end, more than 100 cultivators of the four major immortal sects had their lifespans taken away by Lin Feng. In an extremely short period of time, their bodies turned into a group of dried corpses. The cultivators who were watching the show in the distance were shocked. What kind of method was that? He actually took away the lives of a group of experts so quickly. It was too terrifying. Now, everyone looked at Lin Feng as though he was a god. They were filled with reverence. Does anyone know the whereabouts of Feng Yaorao, the Fire Qilin, Princess Shui Yao, and the others? Lin Feng asked the cultivators in the distance. There were many of them, so they should be very well informed. Therefore, Lin Feng felt that some of them should have heard about Feng Yaorao and the others. If they really knew, he would be able to find out more about Feng Yaorao and the others from them. First update. At 4:40 a.m. today, he had a son. Although old Manta hadn't slept for dozens of hours, he was very excited. Chapter 5068. Hearing Lin Feng's question, many people exchanged glances. Clearly, they did not know who Feng Yaorao, the Fire Qilin, and the others were. It was no wonder they did not know Feng Yaorao and the others. The main reason was that they had not been in the undying world for a long time. In addition, they had spent most of their time in seclusion. Thus, the outside world was not very familiar with them. Of course, not everyone did not know them. Suddenly, a cultivator asked, "May I ask if the Feng Yao you speak of is a very bewitching woman? Is she from the 9 provinces' great world?" When Lin Feng heard that, he nodded hastily and said, "Indeed, that's her." "Have you seen her, Your Excellency?" The cultivator immediately said, "I have indeed seen her before. She seems to have entered the time cave. I wonder how she is now." When he heard the words time cave, little Ping King's expression changed abruptly. Lin Feng could not help but frown slightly. In truth, Lin Feng was not unfamiliar with this name. In the past, the Heavenly Sage Great World had an organization called the Time Cave. Lin Feng hadn't thought he'd come across a time cave in the immortal world. Clearly, the time cave in the undying world was completely different from the time cave in the Heavenly Sage Great World. The Time Cave in the Heavenly Sage Great World was an organization, while the Time Cave in the Undying World was an extremely dangerous place. Lin Feng even suspected that the cultivator from the Heavenly Sage Great World had created the Time Cave because he had heard of the Time Cave in the Undying World. Therefore, he named the organization he created Chronology Cave. In truth, Lin Feng's guess was correct. Back then, the expert who had created the Time Cave in the Heavenly Sage Great World knew of the Time Cave in the Undying World. At that time, that powerhouse couldn't think of a better name. Therefore, that powerhouse decided to create the Time Cave. Why did she enter this place? Lin Feng asked with a frown. He did not think that Feng Yaorao would casually enter a dangerous place like the Time Cave. This place was much more of a deterrent to women than men. As the name suggested, Time Cave meant a cave that could strip away one's lifespan. Women were most afraid of aging. Beautiful women would age easily. Many peerless beauties were worried that one day, they would also become like this. Therefore, no woman would be willing to go to a place that would deprive them of their lifespan. Sometimes, give a beautiful woman a multiple-choice question. First, I'll give you an opportunity. 2. Let you stay young forever. There is almost no need to consider this choice. Almost 100% of the beautiful fairies will choose the second option. They were willing to give up a lot of things in order to have a beautiful face. Feng Yaorao was naturally the same. Therefore, if not for the fact that she had no other choice, Feng Yaorao would absolutely not enter Time Cave. Prince Xian Yun is chasing after Fairy Feng. Fairy Feng had no choice but to escape into the Time Cave, said Lin Feng. The cultivator said, "Young Master Xian Yun? Who is this person?" Lin Feng's face immediately darkened. He wanted to kill this young Master Xian Yun. This person deserved 10,000 deaths. The cultivator said, "Young Master Xian Yun is a cultivator from the 9 Demon Palace. Young Master must have heard of his elder brother. His elder brother is the famous young Master Xian Yu." Hearing this, Lin Feng couldn't help but slightly raise his eyebrows. Lin Feng had naturally heard of young Master Xian Yu. He was once one of the 10 heroes of the undying world. Moreover, he had gone to the heaven realm to cultivate for a period of time. Young Master Xian Yu was much stronger than the feather immortal king that Lin Feng had met before. Therefore, young Master Xian Yu was definitely an extremely terrifying existence. But no matter who this young Master Xian Yun's brother or father was, as long as he offended Lin Feng would definitely not let him off. Furthermore, this guy didn't just offend Lin Feng, because he actually had designs on Feng Yaorao. Feng Yaorao was one of Lin Feng's favorite women. Young Master Xian Yun was courting death by having designs on Feng Yaorao. Alright, thank you for your information. In the future, if there's anything you can't solve, you can think of a way to contact the people from the Demon Clan. The people from the Demon Clan will tell me about your information, and at that time, I will help you solve those problems, Lin Feng said. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the cultivator's face immediately revealed a look of ecstasy. This was truly a pleasant surprise. As a result, that's why he and Lin Feng were friends. The rest of the people looked at the cultivator with envy and jealousy. They also wanted to provide some information to Lin Feng, but they didn't know anything about Feng Yaorao, Fire Qilin, and the others. So, they also felt helpless. They had missed this opportunity. The next time they wanted to find a chance to befriend Lin Feng, it wouldn't be so easy. Everyone was clear about this. That was why they were so vexed. Lin Feng and Little Peking didn't stop. They quickly flew in the direction of the Time Cave. Little Peking had been to the heavenly illusionary world before, so he knew where the Time Cave was. The two of them were extremely fast. After 3 days, Lin Feng saw a huge mountain range in the distance. There were more than 10 mountains in that mountain range. As for those mountains, they were actually all purple. It was really strange. The mountains were actually purple. No one knew what caused it. The Time Cave is in the inner region of the Purple Mountain Range, Little Peking said. Lin Feng nodded. He increased his speed because Lin Feng was worried about Feng Yaorao's safety. Therefore, he couldn't wait to enter the Time Cave to check it out. There were many cultivators wandering around the Time Cave. Many people were watching. The Time Cave was very dangerous. Therefore, although those cultivators were extremely curious about it, they also wanted to enter the Time Cave. However, they didn't act on it. A place like the Time Cave was too dangerous. They didn't dare to take the risk to enter it. We still don't know what's going on in the Time Cave, so you wait here first. I'll go in myself, Lin Feng said. Little Peking also knew that if he followed Lin Feng in, he might cause trouble for Lin Feng. Therefore, after hearing Lin Feng's words, he nodded and said, "All right, I'll wait here. However, the Time Cave is very dangerous. This time, you must be careful when you enter the Time Cave." Lin Feng nodded and said, "Okay, I'll be careful." With that, Lin Feng quickly flew towards the depths of the mountain range. Chapter 50-69. Look, someone has entered the mountain range. Could it be that he wants to explore the Time Cave? It seems to be an extremely young human cultivator. That guy actually dares to enter the Time Cave alone. Is he courting death? Seeing Lin Feng enter the Purple Mountain Range where the Time Cave was located, a cultivator immediately cried out in alarm. It was no wonder that those cultivators were so shocked. The Time Cave was a dangerous place. Not everyone was qualified to enter and explore it. Such a place was too dangerous. The slightest carelessness could lead to a tragic death. In this world, there will always be some people who think that they are the children of fate. They would then explore those dangerous places. Only after entering those places would they realize how foolish their previous thoughts were. It's just that it's already too late for them to leave that place, another cultivator said. That kid is dead for sure, another cultivator said. Clearly, in the other party's opinion, Lin Feng was on the road to death this time. Many cultivators agreed with that cultivator. Entering the Purple Mountain Range was no different from courting death. Lin Feng naturally didn't know what the cultivators outside were discussing. He had never cared about other people's opinions. After entering the Purple Mountain Range, Lin Feng flew all the way to the depths. The Purple Mountain Range was indeed very strange. It was filled with the aura of time. Some places contained extremely terrifying power of time. If one were to enter a place covered by the power of time, it would be an extremely tragic thing. This was because such places were very terrifying. Once a cultivator entered, it would be very difficult to rush out. At that time, all of their lifespan would be stripped away by the power of time. Thinking about it, it was really a terrifying thing. On the way, Lin Feng saw many skeletons. It seemed that those people had their lifespans stripped away by the power of time. In the end, they died here. Lin Feng now had a way to resist the erosion of the power of time. After all, Lin Feng cultivated the Tao of Time. Of course, Lin Feng's cultivation of the Tao of Time wasn't particularly deep. The main reason was that the Tao of Time was too mysterious and complicated. It was very difficult to comprehend the mysteries of the Tao of Time. Therefore, although Lin Feng could resist the erosion of the power of time, there was a limit to this resistance. Lin Feng didn't know how long he could endure. He needed to see the specific situation to determine how long he could endure. For example, he had to avoid the areas where the power of time lingered as much as possible. Other cultivators might not be able to sense the terrifying power of time, but Lin Feng could. Therefore, on the way, even though time's strength kept attacking Lin Feng managed to dodge it. Lin Feng went deeper. Logically speaking, there should be some terrifying creatures living in such a dangerous place. However, there didn't seem to be any living creatures in this place. Or maybe, those terrifying creatures didn't appear because they felt that he wasn't someone to be trifled with. This was also a possibility. Lin Feng continued to go deeper. Finally, he arrived at the main peak. Halfway up the main peak, Lin Feng saw a huge cave. The terrifying power of time emanated from the cave. She shouldn't have entered the time cave, right? Did she just hide in the Purple Mountain Range? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He felt that there might be some problems with the cultivator's description. One didn't have to enter the time cave to enter the Purple Mountain Range. However, the Purple Mountain Range was also a dangerous place. Therefore, many people felt that there was no difference between entering the Purple Mountain Range and the time cave. However, just as Lin Feng was thinking about this matter, Lin Feng saw a jade pendant outside the time cave. Feng Yaorao's jade pendant. It was given to her by the heavenly wind god. Lin Feng was astonished when he saw the jade pendant. It was a gift from his father-in-law, the heavenly wind god, to Feng Yaorao when she was 18 years old. Perhaps it was the first time Feng Yaorao had received a gift from her father, so she treasured that jade pendant very much. Thus, she had always worn that jade pendant on her body. However, it had now appeared at the entrance of the time cave. This meant that Feng Yaorao had really entered the time cave? Since he was sure that Feng Yaorao had entered the time cave, Lin Feng wouldn't hesitate to enter the time cave no matter how dangerous it was. Please don't let anything happen to her. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He picked up Feng Yaorao's jade pendant and quickly rushed into the time cave. The power of time within the time cave seemed to possess a life of its own. After Lin Feng rushed into the time cave, a large amount of the power of time surged toward him. The power of time. It was constantly corroding Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng operated the Tao of Time to neutralize the terrifying power of time. In a short period of time, Lin Feng wouldn't be harmed by the power of time. However, Lin Feng knew that he wouldn't be able to hold on for too long. Right now, Lin Feng's mood was extremely bad. The power of time within the time cave was so terrifying. Feng Yaorao shouldn't have entered the time cave willingly, right? The reason why he came to this conclusion was because if Feng Yaorao had entered the time cave willingly, how could her jade pendant have fallen outside? This was also the reason why Lin Feng felt that Feng Yaorao hadn't entered the time cave willingly. Was she captured by something and brought into the time cave? Perhaps there really was such a possibility. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. He was now worried that the power of time would harm Feng Yarao. If the power of time had harmed Feng Yarao, she might have already turned into a pink skeleton. Thinking of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but become extremely anxious. Lin Feng increased his speed. Not long after, Lin Feng arrived at the depths of the time cave. In the depths of the time cave was a huge mountain cave. The powerful power of time was surging out from this mountain cave. That huge mountain cave should be the core area of the time cave. That is, when Lin Feng entered that huge mountain cave, his face immediately revealed an extremely shocked expression. Lin Feng seemed to have seen something astonishing in the time cave. Chapter 50-70. A huge flower appeared in the center of the cave. It was a rainbow-colored flower. It took root in the void. Every time it swayed, a rainbow-colored light would emanate from it. The flower of time! The demon lord couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Clearly, the flower had shocked the demon lord. Lin Feng asked, "The flower of time? What kind of flower is that?" "It's a special flower born in the strength of time. It's very strange, but it's also very powerful. However, if you can kill a flower of time, you'll get great benefits. Let's join hands and kill the flower of time. The petals will belong to you. If you swallow those petals, your Tao of time will definitely reach the maximum level. As for the stamens, they'll belong to me," said Lin Feng. Yao Jun said. Lin Feng said, "I'm here to find Feng Yarao. I'm not here to deal with the flower of time." The demon lord naturally knew that Lin Feng was very worried about Feng Yarao. Therefore, when Lin Feng said this, the demon lord didn't reply. He would persuade Lin Feng later. When the time came, they would be able to work together to deal with the flower of time. Human cultivators are really surprising. Such a young life form actually understands the Tao of time? At that moment, a voice came from the flower of time. It was a woman's voice. However, this voice wasn't pleasant to the ears. It sounded a little harsh. "She's become a spirit." Lin Feng was shocked. Then he asked, "Where's Feng Yarao? What did you do to her?" "Feng Yarao? Are you talking about the woman I captured before?" the flower of time asked. When he heard this, Lin Feng immediately revealed a look of joy. This meant that Feng Yarao had really been captured by the flower of time. However, Lin Feng started to worry again. He was worried that Feng Yarao would meet with misfortune. Lin Feng said with a gloomy expression, "That's right, it's her. She has a perfect body and a perfect face. Now, I want to live in her body. Then I will become a new me. I will no longer exist in this world as a flower. At that time, I will be able to leave the time cave." Lin Feng asked with a grim expression, "What will happen to my friend in the end?" The flower of time said, "Congratulations to your friend, she will provide me with a perfect body in the end." Lin Feng coldly said, "That means she's going to die." The flower of time said, "How could he die? Of course she won't die. That wouldn't be called death, but rather a new life. Her soul will go to the pure land of bliss. *CK your pure land of bliss." Lin Feng couldn't help but curse. This *TCH, the flower of time, was quite good at finding excuses to fool people. Lin Feng had the urge to cut the flower of time into pieces. "You don't know the difference between life and death. Now die." The flower of time's cold voice rang out. Next, the flower of time gently swayed a leaf. A terrifying wave of time energy blasted towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly took out his ruler's armor. The ruler's armor protected Lin Feng's body. What surprised Lin Feng was that the ruler's armor was actually able to resist the corrosion of time energy. This utmost treasure was truly extraordinary. To think that it could even defend against the power of time. It was truly amazing. Although it was impossible to completely resist the power of time that invaded the body, it could resist almost half of the power of time. Lin Feng was already very satisfied with this result. In addition, Lin Feng had grasped the Tao of Time, so he could use less magic power to resist the invasion of time energy. As a result, Lin Feng could last longer in the Cave of Time. Bang! Following a violent collision, Lin Feng and the Flower of Time's attack collided. The Flower of Time's attack was truly terrifying. It actually sent Lin Feng flying. Lin Feng's expression became incomparably gloomy. The Flower of Time was much more terrifying than he'd imagined. "Demon Lord, let's work together to deal with the Flower of Time," said Lin Feng telepathically. "Of course, no problem. To deal with the Flower of Time, you need to use the most powerful and violent attack to destroy its foundation. In a moment, my strength will completely fuse with yours. At that time, you can activate the Epic War Spear and try to kill the enemy in the shortest time possible," said the Demon Lord. Lin Feng nodded and said, "All right, hurry up and pour your strength into my body," said Lin Feng, nodding. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, he sensed an incomparably powerful strength pouring into his body. That strength made Lin Feng feel an impulse to raise his head and roar. The Demon Lord's strength. It poured into Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng felt like he wasn't himself anymore. After fusing with the Demon Lord's strength, he had a feeling that even if a golden immortal or a holy immortal came, he would still be able to fight against the Celestial Emperor. Had the Demon Lord become so powerful? Lin Feng's heart was in turmoil. It seemed that the Demon Lord had recovered quite well over the years. Lin Feng was naturally very happy. As far as he was concerned, the more the Demon Lord recovered, the better. "Demon Lord, it seems that you've recovered quite well over the years," said Lin Feng telepathically. Said the Demon Lord. "You're still far from it. When you know how powerful the enemy is and then think about your own cultivation, you'll immediately feel an incomparable sense of urgency. Therefore, the most important thing now is to raise your cultivation as quickly as possible." Lin Feng nodded. If he killed the Flower of Time now, not only would he be able to save Feng Yaorao, but it would also be a great opportunity to raise his strength. Therefore, Lin Feng was somewhat impatient. Previously, when he hadn't fused with the Demon Lord's strength, dealing with the Flower of Time was indeed too difficult. However, things were different now. The Demon Lord's strength had fused with Lin Feng's body, and Lin Feng's combat strength had risen to an unprecedented level. This greatly boosted Lin Feng's confidence. Lin Feng took out the Epic War Spear and took the initiative to attack the Flower of Time. "How did your strength increase so much in an instant? Is there a special existence residing in your body?" The Flower of Time's senses were extremely sharp. It instantly sensed that Lin Feng was different from before. But then, the Flower of Time sneered. "But it's useless. No matter what method you use, your fate has long been sealed. You are destined to die at my hands." As soon as it finished speaking, the power of time in the void surged even more violently and attacked Lin Feng. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.